Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a historic night in podcasting. I'm Michael, along with my podcasting partner, Kayla, and you're in for a treat tonight.
And who doesn't love a treat, Michael? I know I do. S'mores, ice cream, cake.
That's so awesome. I love that. Thank you, Kayla, for being so cool about wanting to do that little bit with me, because I kind of came up with the idea like very last minute meaning today of the recording. I was like, it'd be kind of cool to kind of show reference to the very first episode of our podcast, kind of showing reference to the very first episode of One Tree Hill. So yeah, thank you, Kayla, for wanting to do that with me.
Of course. Who am I to deny that?
Exactly. But fellow listeners, thank you for tuning in to an Unkindness of Ravens, a One Tree Hill podcast. We are on season 1, episode 1, technically the pilot, which is the same as the One Tree Hill episode. So kind of fun little tie-ins. But yeah, I'm Michael. And as you guys know, I'm kind of a diehard One Tree Hill fan. I've watched this every season, probably 14 times. I've kind of lost track, but I think 14 is a good number. So I'm going to go with that. But yeah, I've been watching the show for a very long time. Anyone that's watching the clip right now or the video, I am wearing a Ravens jersey. So fun stuff. And then in the back, I don't know if you can see it too well because there's a glare, but I do have all of my box sets lined up in the back here. So.
Oh, I see that.
Yes.
I see that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I make up one half of this amazing podcast alongside my co-host, Kayla, who is also an amazing host for this podcast. So Kayla, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I'm Kayla, and I have never watched One Tree Hill. Well, aside from like little clips here and there, I had a friend who watched it like in middle school, high school. The only thing I remembered about it was there was basketball in it. So aside from watching this first episode for this podcast, I have no idea what the show is about.
Yeah,
But
well,
I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Well, it is definitely a lot more than just basketball. I mean, basketball is a huge part of this show, which I think is what, like, an interesting story with my relationship with the show. I kind of was a little hesitant to watch the show at first because I really wasn't into a lot of coming of age TV shows that were coming out at the time. And that's weird of me to say because I love those kind of movies and stuff. But I think like I kind of lumped it in with like Gossip Girl and the OC and Dawson's Creek, all of which shows that I don't really care for that much, that I've tried to watch, that I just can't get into. So I was a little bit hesitant when I started watching the show. But then when I got into it, it was just so addicting. I think I watched all 9 seasons in probably the span of 2 months, I would say. So.
Oh gosh. So you didn't get into it when it first came out then?
No. Oh no. I think that would have killed me too, because like back in the day in the early 2000s, as we all know, who were growing up in that time, you know that like we didn't have like these streaming services like Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. So we had to wait every week for a new episode to come out. So I think that would have killed me having to watch that every week, like wait for the next episode. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I remember getting very frustrated when I'd have to wait for new episodes of Degrassi.
Oh my God, I used to watch Degrassi too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't tell you anything about it now. It's been probably 15 years since I watched Degrassi last, so I couldn't tell you what happens. I know there's like a school shooting episode, but that's
I binged it again like 2 years ago. Made my husband start watching it.
And what did your husband think? Did he like it?
He liked it up until a certain point, and then once the characters of like Emma, Jimmy, which everyone knows, Aubrey Graham at the time, now goes by Drake, that cast, he liked it at that time, but when it started kind of straying away from them, he stopped liking it as much and didn't finish it out.
That's fair. And there's like so many different spin-offs, right? There's like Next Generation, there's I don't know what they're called exactly, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It gets to a point where it's like you kind of have to stop a show at some point. Personally, I think they could have kept going with One Tree Hill. I would have been completely happy with that, but you know, it's fine. Still not over it. I cry every time we get to the finale episode. Like I literally cry the entire way through the finale episode. Aww. Every fucking time. I'm going to warn you though, I cry every time I watch the show, like with certain things. Like it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. It's just, you know, just gets, it puts me in a headspace. So it's, you know, it's fun. But
I will say I accidentally ruined something for myself, and I don't know if I actually ruined it or not, because I was pulling up the IMDb page so that I could have the synopsis up and everything, and I was like, oh, this actor isn't, this one's in like 180 some episodes and this one's only in like
yeah.
136. Did this person like leave, or what's happening here? So
Well,
my bad.
I guess you'll find out. But
Yeah.
that's actually a perfect segue, because I did want to put out a few disclaimers before we start the episode. First of all, regarding spoilers, this is going to be a spoiler-filled podcast. So for anyone who hasn't watched One Tree Hill, it is streaming on Hulu. And if you want to watch the episodes along with me and Kayla we're going to be doing every 2 weeks. So it's going to be a bi-weekly podcast. If you want to watch an episode with us every couple weeks before we put out the episode, you can absolutely do that. If you don't mind spoilers, feel free to listen to the episodes. But just a little disclaimer that we are going to be delving very deep into the show. Like, it's not going to be spoiler free at all. So if you have not seen, come on, Michael, if you have not seen One Tree Hill, I highly recommend that you watch it along with us every couple weeks, and that means you'll stay up to date and you won't be spoiled. So
yeah, I believe it's also on Max as well, I think. So if you don't have Hulu, I think you can watch it on Max.
Yes. It used to be on Netflix. They took it off of Netflix, which is a war crime, and they should be in jail for that, but that's fine. Which is why I bought this box set behind me, because I was so worried that when they stopped recording or when they took the show off Netflix, I was like, I don't know where they're putting it, so I have to get the box set now, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to watch it. But yeah, another disclaimer that me and Kayla kind of wanted to throw out really quick is we did make a podcast logo for this podcast. I'm sure you guys have seen it if you follow us on social media. It is made out of AI. Like, I did do AI with it, and I know that a lot of people have concerns and grievances towards AI, which I completely understand and completely agree with. But Kayla and I are a little short on money and finances at the moment. So we are planning on hiring an artist to actually make a logo later on. So just so everybody can feel at ease, like, we're not going to keep the logo the way it is forever. Or, I mean, it might look the same, but we're just going to hire an artist to actually make it instead of AI. So
yes. And I have been looking at artists. So we have been on the lookout, and this independently, to try to make up for using AI for this, when I do have my job back, I am going to try to donate like a little bit to like some sort of art foundation or something, something that goes towards artists, just to try to, I know it doesn't exactly make up for it, but I feel bad. So
yeah, I do too. And that's, yeah, no, I do too. And that's kind of why I wanted to put a disclaimer up for anybody that's listening to this, or that, feels a type of way about AI, because I can completely understand your concerns and your grievances towards it. So we just wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be hiring an artist at some point when we can afford it. But This is kind of what we have right now. We kind of just needed to make a logo like really quick on the spot, for like to promote our podcast and everything like that. So like I said, we will be hiring someone very soon in the near future, hopefully. So just stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys will still listen and support our podcast, because we completely understand the points that you guys have about AI and stuff. So yeah. But with that being said, Kayla, would you like to get into season 1, episode 1, the pilot of One Tree Hill?
Oh, yes. Should I read the little storyline that's up here on IMDb, or?
Ooh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, let's see. I will probably fumble over this, so bear with me. Nathan Scott is the star of the Ravens high school basketball team, just like his proud father, Dan Scott, but he gets pushed even harder by his dad than the team's coaches. Well, I was about to say coaches. There's only one coach. When the team celebrates a victory of borrowing a school bus, arrests are made. Dan manages to get Nathan out of trouble. Unfortunately, others are less lucky, and the team needs new players. So the coach invites Nathan's half-brother, Lucas Scott, who only plays informal basketball, his passion being reading. We love a man who reads. Anyway, when he
Yes, we
also
do.
seems to get on with Nathan's steady girlfriend Peyton, the star dares him to a one-on-one for high stakes.
Yes, and that is like a very, very brief description of season 1, episode 1, delivered by the amazingly talented Kayla. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
You're welcome. I've been speaking for most of my life.
Well, speaking of, sorry to go off on another little off-topic tangent. Well, it's not really off-topic. So we do actually have other social media pages. If you want to follow me at the We Love Horror podcast, I do have another podcast where I talk about anything and everything horror. So if you want to go check that out, it is We Love Horror podcast on Instagram. And Kayla, you also do some fun little things on the side as well. So why don't you share that?
Yes. Well, first, I do recommend checking out the We Love Horror podcast because it's quite enjoyable.
Thank you.
I have a YouTube called Stories by Kayla where I basically just kind of make vlogs of myself writing, and also where I take inspiration from Taylor Swift songs and turn them into horror stories. So it's not everyone's thing, two things that shouldn't go together, but if you're interested in that.
I think they absolutely go together. I just have to say, like, listening to your stories, I have to say, like, it's perfect. Like, I love it. But yes, please follow Kayla. What's your Instagram, Kayla?
Oh, goodness. I almost forgot about that. It is Kayla D. Writes.
Perfect. Yes.
All
So
right.
please go follow Kayla, support her. She's amazing. I actually had the honor of being a part of her latest short story, and it's fun. Yeah. Tell them a little bit about that, Kayla.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, you did a very good job. I was very, very pleased with what you delivered. It was a story inspired by the song Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift, and it is about a young man named Bobby who encounters a past flame, and things do not exactly go the way he expects. So there's that.
Yes, I think that's a great description. You don't want to give anything away. I definitely encourage you guys to go listen to that story. You also have other stories as well on your YouTube channel, so please check her out. She is fucking phenomenal. One of the biggest reasons why you and I kind of started becoming like super close friends is because we both love Taylor Swift, and we kind of started talking a lot more. And then I also have to say, Kayla, I really appreciate you for wanting to do this podcast with me, because I will say it was very last minute. Like, it was just very out of the blue that I was like, hey, so I've had this idea for about 4 years, and I was thinking maybe you could do this podcast with me. And Kayla was like, yeah, you were game. And I loved it.
I was just like, he was fun to talk to. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So here we are recording this podcast now. So it's really fun. I'm really excited to go on this journey with you, Kayla. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. So with all the business aside, let's get into the episode. So we are talking about season 1, episode 1, the pilot. It aired on September 23rd, 2003. It was directed by Brian Gordon and written by Mark Schwann. And the little synopsis that I have is half brothers Nathan and Lucas Scott find their separate worlds colliding when Lucas is invited to join the high school basketball team. That's kind of what I have, is like just the short and sweet synopsis.
A lot more brief.
Yeah. And then I have some fun facts about episode 1, actually, that I wanted to share with you, Kayla, and to the listeners that don't know anything about One Tree Hill. So I'm very excited.
Okay.
So the first fun fact I have is that creator Mark Schwann originally wrote One Tree Hill to be a feature-length project called Ravens. Executive producers Brian Robbins, Mike Tolan, and Joe Davola spent 4 years convincing Schwann to turn it into a series instead, which thank God they did. Am I right?
4 years.
4 years. Yeah, he was not budging for a while. So here's another fun fact. Schwann originally wanted Chad Michael Murray to play the character of Nathan. Murray wanted to play Lucas, so the producers agreed to let him play Lucas instead, which I don't know if I see Chad Michael Murray playing that character.
I don't know. I think I just grew up liking Chad Michael Murray from like a Cinderella Story, Freaky Friday. So I don't know how I would have felt going into episode 1 and being like, wow, he's kind of a dick.
I know. It definitely would have been a change of scenery from what we're used to seeing him in.
Yeah. House of Wax.
Yeah, love that movie. Small little shout out to House of Wax. We support certain remakes that people hate on really bad, but
Yes,
me and Kayla got into that discussion the other day. We both really like House of Wax, the remake.
I do. I like a lot.
So the actors James Lafferty, who plays Nathan, and Paul Johansson, who plays Dan, were both extremely talented when it came to basketball in real life. Like they both actually played basketball. So most of the stuff that you see on screen is them.
Oh, that's pretty neat then. It's nice
Yeah.
to see other talents too, because you don't necessarily get to see that all the time.
Definitely. And also James Lafferty was the only one that was actually a teenager when they started filming the show. Like everyone else, I think Chad Michael Murray and Hillary Burton and Sophia Bush were like 21 or 22 when they started.
Is that Nathan?
Nathan, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know all the cast names yet.
Like, yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah. It's funny because Chad Michael Murray still looks like a child to me, but I guess I am 31 now, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean they all look incredibly young, like, but it's funny to see that, like, it's funny to talk about the fact that like Nathan was the only one that was actually a teenager. Like I think he was 17 when the show started. So
baby.
Yeah, which is a little weird when you think about the fact that him and Peyton have like so many like intimate scenes together. It's like she's literally an adult kind of making out with, I mean, I guess
awkward.
The age of consent in certain places is 17, but it's still, it's a little weird, but
it's still awkward.
Yeah. So Sophia Bush read for the role of Brooke 3 times. The first time she was told she didn't look sexy enough. The second time she was told she looked too sexy. And the third time she was offered the part.
I don't know what that first time was about because she's gorgeous.
I know. And also, like, why is the only character trait that she has is sexy? Like, she's so much more than that, first of all. And I also want to provide another small disclaimer really quick. We do not support or endorse Mark Schwann, who is the writer of One Tree Hill. The only credit we will ever give him on the show is the fact that he wrote an amazing show that I love. But other than that, he is kind of a creep. He's also been accused and basically blacklisted from Hollywood, hopefully, because when the Me Too movement came out, like a bunch of the actresses from One Tree Hill came out and said that, yeah, he sexually harassed us on set constantly. It was a toxic work environment, like all that kind of stuff. So,
which I didn't know until you told me that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known his name from anywhere because, like I said, I didn't watch the show before. So, yes, we do not. We're talking about the show, but we do not support that.
Exactly. So, like I said, this will be the first and only time that we ever give Mark Strong credit for anything is for creating an amazing show. Other than that, like, get out of here. Get out of here. So it kind of brings like a more creepy like context to that fact that like she was told she wasn't sexy enough. And then it's just like, it's really weird. Like, why is somebody auditioning just to be sexy? Like, it's just a very weird comment to make.
Yeah, like, I guess for certain roles, I can understand if it's supposed to be just that. But when you're supposed to play a high school student, it's a little strange.
Just a tad.
A little bit, yeah.
But Moira, sorry, that's how you say her name. Moira Kelly, who plays Karen, found out that she was pregnant after the pilot was shot, but Schwann didn't want to write the pregnancy into the show, so they used an array of props to hide her belly. Which is fun to like kind of look back and see if she's like doing things to cover it up during the show.
You have to look at that. So that's in season 1?
Yeah, season 1 she was actually pregnant. So
okay, I'm gonna have to look out for that. I know I've seen other shows where they've had to do that.
Yeah. So the court where the Tree Hill basketball games were shot in is the same one Michael Jordan played on when he was in school, proving legends really are born in the Tree Hill High School gym.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
And that's why Nathan has the number 23 on his jersey, is because that was Michael Jordan's number. So,
shoot.
Yeah. So kind of
a lot.
Yes. The more you know, right?
Yeah.
But here's a really interesting fact. In the original version of the pilot episode, the character of Haley was absent from the script. In her place, a character named Regan served as Lucas's best friend, portrayed by Samantha Shelton. Regan was much more of a tomboy than Haley, though much of her dialogue was kept when the character was scrapped and repurposed as Haley. All of Shelton's key scenes as Reagan were reshot after the pilot was picked up to series, with Bethany Joy Lenz replacing her. While the scenes in which she speaks were removed, Reagan can still be seen in the pilot, as her scenes without dialogue were left in the episode. These include a scene where she is seated next to Lucas in the school library, as seen in the photo above, and I'll put the photo on our social media, as well as the final scene after Lucas and Nathan's basketball match, where Reagan offers Lucas a celebratory pat on the back after his win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't notice the pat on the back, but I guess there was so much going on in that scene.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest in the first episode. I will say, like, you're kind of getting like a lot of information thrown at you in such a short amount of time, because I think these episodes average out to be like 45 minutes. I'm sure they were longer because, commercials in that day and age.
About right.
Yeah. But yeah, so there is one more fact that I wanted to read, and then we'll get into the plot breakdown. So when the initial meeting between Lucas and Peyton was being filmed at the lake, there was an alligator in the water behind them for the entirety of the shoot.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah. And actually, just a shout out to the Drama Queens podcast. They do not endorse us, or they haven't endorsed us or supported us yet. So hopefully maybe in the near future we'll hear something. But this is just kind of like, free publicity for them because I love them. So basically, the actress that plays Peyton, Hillary Burton, she actually talked about that on their first episode, where they were filming this scene and she's like, there's an alligator like literally like 20 feet from me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So very, very fun facts.
That's scary.
Yes. So yeah, with all those fun facts out of the way, would you like to get into the plot breakdown, Kayla?
Sure. So are we just kind of going from the very beginning then?
Yeah, we'll just start from the top, girl.
Okay, so I really appreciated the kind of back and forth with Lucas heading to the park and also at the park versus Nathan playing in the gym. Yeah. Like, I thought it was really nice kind of to show just how different things were for them and how differently they also approached basketball in general, whereas one looked more like fun, whereas the other one was a lot more serious because he had his dad like before, I think it was before the game even began, just like telling him to do things, and the coach is just like, hey. And
hey, get in line.
Yeah. So I thought I really liked kind of the back and forth between those different scenes and situations.
That's really funny that you say that, because I said that exact thing in my show notes. I said, because I kind of talked about how like we get that iconic shot of Lucas dribbling the basketball across the bridge. Yeah. And then and then it cuts to Peyton driving in her car, listening to music. And then it cuts to Nathan, who's warming up for the game. Then it transitions flawlessly into a shot of him playing a real game. Like it like transitions of him, like I think he's like dunking a basketball, and then it like transitions to him actually dunking the basketball during the game. Which I thought was really cool. I really like, and we'll get into it later with other scenes too, because they do this quite a bit in this first episode where they kind of do kind of like certain transitions with certain things, which I really liked. But I said the exact same thing. I said, I appreciate the juxtaposition of Nathan in the crowded gym with a bunch of people cheering him on compared to Lucas, who is arriving at the River Court with this small group of friends. And then I said, it really shows how different their worlds are from one another. So
yeah. And then also like, it also shows how good they both are, even though it's different settings. Because I think I think it was, Scott for the win. And obviously both their last names are Scott, because brothers. And they're both kind of like, I don't know my basketball terms.
It shows both of them like making the winning shot. Like shows Lucas making the winning shot in the River Court at the same time that Nathan's making the winning shot in the gym. And it's just, I really love the way they edit that to like, show that kind of, it's really cool. I just love it.
Yes, I appreciated that a lot. I thought it was nice.
I really liked the scene as well when they're in the gym and Whitey's like calling a timeout because he's like, you guys are stinking up the place. And then Nathan's like, you can tell like right off the bat that Nathan's pretty cocky and arrogant. Like you get a lot of his character just with this one scene alone. Like he basically kind of retorts with Whitey. He's like, we're up by 9. And then Whitey just like bench. So he benches him. And And then he reminds Nathan that he's the coach and that it's his team. And then Nathan's like, whatever you need to believe. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I was just like, dang, if it weren't for the fact that, because I'm not like a big sports person, but in my head, I'm like, I would just been like, fine, leave, but that's not how sports works. So like, oh, what a predicament he's in.
Well, and it's kind of funny because then you get like, you get kind of like a fast forward a little bit to like more of the game, and Whitey's like realizing that they're gonna lose without Nathan, so he's just like, oh, get back in there. Like you could tell he doesn't want him, but he's like, he doesn't want to admit that he was wrong in a sense. But yeah, so then we see Peyton. We find out that she's also a cheerleader, and I love this line when she's like, when he walks by Peyton and she's like, don't bother showering tonight.
I was very thrown off by that, and I don't know why. I think I was just like, girl, what? I was like, I'd be telling you to shower.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, never mind. We're not going to get into it. I was going to talk about a fantasy that I used to have when I was younger, but we're not going to delve into that personal. We're not going to go that personal. It's going to be a little weird. Because I have a lot of friends that they're probably going to be listening to this podcast from high school. They don't need to know what goes on in my mind. It's fine. We're just going to move past that. But
move past the fantasies, I guess.
Yes. But it does cut back, like you said, between Nathan and Lucas for the winning shot. And I just, we talked about how much we love that kind of juxtaposition, but also like the way it's edited. It's so cool.
I also liked the mood, like with the sunset, like this, and then like being more dark and everything. Like, I don't know. I don't know how many people who listen to this were kind of around like teenagers back in like, I mean, I wasn't a teenager back in like 2003, but like, yeah, still like the 2000s to 2010s, like, that area. But there was like this big thing of, I'm so different because I like to read and everything's dark and moody. So like, I thought it was funny just kind of calling back to those days of being like, I know we haven't found the part out about reading yet at this point, but just thinking back on it, I'm just like, oh, the mood fits so well for that.
So what you're saying is that Lucas and Peyton were both the original pick-me girls.
They were both the I'm not like other girls.
Yeah. they were the OG pick-me girls before Taylor Swift became a pick-me girl. I'm sorry. The early days of Taylor Swift when she sang like You Belong With Me, that was totally pick-me girl energy. I'm sorry.
It was, but do we still sing it at the top of our lungs?
Absolutely, yes, we do. Yes. So we're gonna say that Taylor Swift took the template of the pick me girl from Lucas and Peyton. We're just gonna say that, even if it didn't happen. It's facts. We're throwing it into the universe. That's what happened.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny. We're not knocking it in a way where it's like this is the most terrible thing in the world. It's just funny. The days where you had to be there to look back on and cringe.
Exactly. So then in the next scene, we cut to Nathan driving a stolen school bus, which how he got that school bus, I don't fucking know. But,
I would like to know.
So would I. I would really like to know how he got the keys to a stolen school bus, but I guess that's besides the point. But this was another example of how they edited this show really well, where they kind of cut back between Nathan and Peyton. And Nathan's like approaching like a railway track, and you can see like the train coming. And then with Peyton, she's like driving down the road, and you see Lucas dribbling the basketball. Yeah. And she's distracted trying to find a CD in the back of her car that she dropped. And so like right as like the bus is almost about to hit the train or get hit by the train, Peyton's also about to hit Lucas. So it's like the way they flawlessly go back and forth between those scenes. I just love that.
Yeah. And I think I liked that better than like the opening of between the basketball games. I don't know. I don't know why I liked it. It's like, okay, you did this thing very well. Oh, and then you did it better. Just also, I feel really stupid. And I don't know why I didn't catch it on my first watch, but I have here in my notes, oh shit, I didn't notice so where's Peyton on the school bus, and that he was kissing a girl that wasn't his girlfriend, even though Peyton was clearly in a car. Like, I guess it just didn't like register the first time around, maybe because I had only seen her face in that one scene.
Well, and also a fun fact, sorry, I might every so often insert fun facts if they pop into my head during like a specific scene. You brought the girl up that asks Nathan where Peyton's at. She's actually in a later scene of the show. I believe it's like probably episode 4 or 5. So it's a few episodes later. She is a bartender. She plays a bartender in a specific scene. And I'll point it out. Yeah, I know. I'll point it out to you when we get to that episode. I'll tell you which one she was, but
Okay.
it's funny because she's in more than just one scene, but like she's kind of in the dark, so you can't really see what she looks like. And I only know this because I believe they said something about it on the Drama Queens podcast, as they made mention of her and talked about how she was in multiple scenes. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have caught that.
That's funny how people do that. I think unless you're one of those people that constantly pays attention to the people in the background, it's easy to miss.
Exactly. Yeah. And another thing that I wrote down is I love how how Peyton almost hits Lucas with her car, but she acts like he's an inconvenience because she's like, go. Like she's like, move.
It's
like
just
as
like,
if she almost didn't just commit fucking a hit and run, basically. I don't know.
It's like, weren't you not paying attention? That doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're in my way. You're inconveniencing me, so move. Yeah.
Also, I think I had, and I don't know if this is the correct name because it's been forever. I might be butchering this artist's name. I was just like, is that Dashboard Confessional?
There are a lot of very early 2000s songs on this show for sure.
Yeah, I don't even remember if the artist name is correct. I may have butchered that, but I was getting really big like throwback vibes during that scene alone.
Oh yeah, like you can definitely tell. Oh yeah, it is Hands Down by Dashboard Confessional. Yep. You were right.
Got it.
Get it, girl. Yeah, but that's the thing that's funny about the first episode of One Tree Hill in general is you can totally like see the age of this show and when it came out because of the soundtrack. Granted, a lot of the songs are pretty freaking good, and they, every time I watch like the first episode and even like the first season, it brings back memories when I hear certain songs because I remember like being a kid during those times. Because like you brought up earlier that you were not in high school in 2003. I believe I was 8 years old when the show aired.
Yeah, I was probably. Oh, math is hard, you guys. Let's see, it was 2003.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was probably like 10.
Yeah, because you're a couple years older than me, right, Kayla?
That's how math works. If I was born in 93, yeah.
Oh, so you're only a year older than me then. So yeah. Okay. No, we were both children when this show came out. So it kind of shows how old we are compared to the show as well. So moving on to the next scene, we get the scene in the library with the principal and a cop, because after the train goes by, they're like, oh, we're in the clear. And then you see a cop car like in front of the stolen school bus.
Yeah. And I didn't write down too much about this, but I was just like, it's such bullshit that Nathan didn't get suspended for the bus incident. Also, why is his dad so mad like at the coach for not saying anything when the kid literally stole a bus?
Exactly. Yeah. And the funny thing about that is like I actually knew specific people in high school that had like rich, very well connected parents, that we lived in a very small town. And honestly, like it felt very realistic to me in a sense, because I knew those kids and I knew that they got away with a lot of shit that they shouldn't have. I'm not going to obviously bring up names on this podcast because, but I did know a couple of people in high school that were very well connected, had very rich parents that could basically get away with murder if they wanted to. That might be a little too far-fetched, but like this scene, I felt like the scene was pretty realistic, at least to my experience, because like, I've known kids like that. Unfortunately.
I guess I like have a hard time remembering. Like, it's funny because I went to a really small school, and my town only had like 2 stoplights in it. So, but it's funny when I'm sitting here trying to remember like so many of the like different people who probably could have gotten away with that. My brain just like blanks on so many names and faces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
the lesson that high school doesn't last forever, kids.
Exactly. But yeah, you were just talking about how Dan gets into it with Whitey outside the library, and they're kind of going back and forth, and he's like, oh, Dan's like, you're just crushing the dreams of blah, 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 people left and right or something like that. And then he's like, you're full of crap, Whitey. And then I won't say this quote right now because we'll save it because I do have it. I don't know if you have it as one of your memorable quotes, but we'll
I
get into
didn't
it
write
later.
it down, but it is memorable.
Yes. And it's
Oh.
pretty funny. I will say Whitey is pretty quick on the draw with the comebacks, and I think he's pretty hilarious. But but another important thing that I wanted to note with this library scene is that you actually meet a character that's going to be a little more pivotal towards the back half of the season. Jake Jagelski, he's like one of the first people that the principal calls as being excused, because Jake wasn't even there in the first place. But there is a character named Jake Jagelski, and he's kind of just like a little side character in the first episode, but he will become more of a prevalent character going forward. So just wanted to throw that little thing out there. But yeah, so then we get to the river court again. It's like the next day, and they're kind of, we got Junk, we got Fergie, we've got Skills, and we've got Lucas. So we're introduced to a lot of characters in this show very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm afraid I don't remember all the guys' names from Lucas's crowd, but I did like his one friend who was basically like, you don't belong here, like trying to tell him like, no, you belong in there. I don't remember what his name was, but I liked him.
Oh, that's Skills. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's like, Junk is talking to them, and then you see Peyton drive by in her car, which I have to say, I fucking love Peyton's car. I love it. It's like a 1965, I believe it's like a 1965 Comet. I don't remember the full name of the car. I'm not a car person, but with Peyton's car, I'm just like, give me that car. There was actually, so when I lived, there was a town that I lived in like several years ago where there was a lady that had that exact car. And I would see her drive it around town sometimes. And I was just like, oh, I want your car so bad.
You didn't go make friends?
No. I did think about committing Grand Theft Auto a couple of times though, and maybe just, taking her car for a joyride and bringing it back. Obviously, I'm not
only illegal if you get caught.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, she doesn't need to know, do it in the middle of the night.
Testing it out.
Yeah, exactly. Just giving it a test drive. But yeah, no, I love Peyton's car. I think it's such a cool car. Anyway,
Oh, sorry.
No. Go on. Go ahead.
There was something in this scene, and I know it kind of comes back to it at the very end, but I don't feel like we got too much on it. And because they were talking about Peyton having a webcam, and I was like, what does she like? Because I know, obviously, it's going to be considered wrong because she's a high schooler, but I think it's funny that in the day of comparing it to now with like stuff that we have like OnlyFans and everything. And like I said, of course, like it would be a wrong thing if a high schooler was having that, but like I thought it was funny that it like came across as like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a strange, out of the ordinary thing.
Yeah.
When in today's day and age it would still be probably illegal depending on what she's doing there. I don't know yet, but like, it's not considered as strange to kids these days for someone to do something like that. Illegal, not good.
Yeah.
For the age, but yeah.
Well, and the thing that I find funny about her webcam thing, we'll get into it a little bit later, but she just kind of just sits there and doesn't say a word. She just looks into the webcam, like eyes vacant, giving this like really, really sad looking empty stare. And it's like, what are you doing, girl? Like,
yeah, that's what I was wondering, because at the very end, like when it wrapped back around, that's all she was doing. And I was like, I hope that's all she's doing since she's in high school. But like, if so, like, I don't really understand the point in it, but I guess I don't know the character well enough yet. So I'm kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's funny because Fergie makes a comment about how he's like, have you seen her webcam? I heard she gets naked on it or something. And then Lucas kind of perks up and he's like, I've watched it. Or he's like, I ran into her last night. She almost ran me over, of course.
Yeah.
And then Skills is like, she's pretty fine, huh? And Lucas just goes, she's all right. But we already know as like audience members that he's so into her. Like you can just tell.
Yeah,
Like
I'm just
there's like,
like, you're not yelling at her for almost running you over, so I'm pretty sure you feel something.
right, right. And then I just love how he's just like, she's all right. Like he just
Yeah.
doesn't want to make a big deal in front of the boys. And you can tell the boys are seeing right through his bullshit though, because they
As
all
if
kind of
she
laugh at
doesn't
him.
have the best hair in the world, like
I am so jealous of her hair because it's like, it looks naturally like curly.
it
Like it's
yeah.
very, very curly, but it looks very natural. She could have gotten a perm. I don't know. I don't remember exactly if Hillary talks about that in their podcast at all. It's been so long since I listened to the first episode because I think they're like 5 years into this podcast now and they're in season
Wow.
7. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember certain things. I remember certain things that stick out to me, but other than that,
Either
but
way, her hair's very
yeah,
nice.
yeah. But anyway, so we get the scene of Lucas going into his mother's cafe, which is titled Karen's Cafe, which, fun fact, actually in Wilmington, where they filmed this in Wilmington, North Carolina. That cafe is actually an active cafe today. Like you can go in
Oh,
there and
like
order coffee. You can, no, like most of these locations that they filmed at are like actual houses, actual like locations. Like, so I was thinking you and I should take a trip to Wilmington sometime and visit the
ooh.
One Tree Hill locations. We could do it like a bonus episode or something.
Yeah. So like is it actually called Karen's Cafe to this day, or is it like something else, or
I didn't look into it further than that. I probably should have. But I don't
that's
know if it's called Karen's Cafe, but I do know that it's an active cafe. So
that's neat.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
neat. We'll have to, and I believe in the cafe, they actually sell like One Tree Hill, like sweatshirts and memorabilia and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna need to go there sometime when
Yes, please, ma'am. Yes,
maybe when
please.
I maybe when I get my job back and
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
travel for a weekend. Um, Speaking of his mom, I was just like, she looks very young. And then
Yeah.
obviously that's explained. I was just like, is she like only like a few years older than me? If that, like,
Like in the
because
show, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think she is like, because she had Lucas when she was in high school. Like she got pregnant with him when she was in high school. So she would have
Mhm.
been like 17, 18. Lucas is, I think, 17 now, or maybe 16. So yeah, she'd be in her 30s. I think she'd be
She's
like
very
30.
pretty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Moira Kelly is gorgeous. I love Moira Kelly. And I also, I was watching this episode with my roommate slash friend, Alex. We were watching this episode last night and I was like, I could fall asleep to her voice. She just has like such like a calming voice. I don't know what it is. But yeah, no, I love her character. And also we meet Karen, who is Lucas's mom, and then we also meet Haley, who is Lucas's
Yes.
best friend. And I love her introduction because she comes in and she's like, "Oh, look at this. The pages are all stuck together." Oh, hi, Lucas. Like she's like a little perv. And then she's like, "Oh, hi, Lucas," like pretending like she didn't
Like,
know he was there.
and I did actually really like Haley. So
Yeah.
for people who don't know, I make jokes even when I like things that make it sound like I don't like it and I'm making fun of it. My note was, oh, so she's quirky.
She's the quirky best friend. Yeah. Well, I also like her energy because she's very much my energy because it feels like she has ADHD. And I'm like, yes, I feel like that's how I am. Like you just ramble on and on and on, like the way she keeps going on with certain things. And then she's like, oh yeah.
I think sometimes it takes me a minute because I know I do that specifically like when I know people very well. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you see something in yourself, you're just like, this is weird.
Yeah. You're like, why do I relate to this character so much?
Yeah.
um,
Strange.
yeah. So like we get this scene with all of them like sitting down to eat and I love how Karen asks Lucas if he wants to join and then Haley's like, yeah, I'd love to. Like she's just like inviting herself. And then she's like talking about like, oh, give him the present you gave him. And then she's like, not that I was looking for it or anything, in some weird Joey loves Dawson kind of way. So I like
Yeah.
that she references Dawson's Creek. That happens a lot in the first episode, I feel. But yeah, so actually another fun fact just popped in my head. ADHD brain, guys. Follow with me here, please. There is a few episodes in later seasons where the guy that plays Dawson actually shows up as a good guest star on the show. So
is that James Vanderbeek?
I believe so, yes.
I used to watch Dawson's Creek, and then I tried to watch it as an adult, and I was like, yo.
Yeah, and the fact that it was written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, as like, so you went from like Scream, I Know He Did Last Summer, all these like movies in the 90s that were like influential horror films, and then you go to making like Dawson's Creek. It's just such a weird like
Yeah.
pendulum.
I remember telling someone that, and then they quoted the Jay and Silent Bob, "You wouldn't last a day on the creek." I was like, you got me
Yeah.
there.
Oh man. But yeah, so his Karen basically gifts Lucas with this book. It's the Julius Caesar book by Shakespeare, by William Shakespeare. And then she kind of quotes like a little blurb from it. She says, "There's a tide in the affairs of men," and then she's like, "or something, something, something," something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you think about this scene the first time you watched it, Kayla?
I was like, so Haley likes her friend, right?
I don't know. We'll see. That might be something you can put for your predictions.
Like, that was my thing I was taking away. Well, one was that was where I really got in okay, so he reads. we
Yeah.
know that. And then it was like, I think she likes her friend, but I have predictions, but I'll save those for the end.
Okay. Well, and the thing that's funny about that is like my friend that I was watching it with, my roommate, he was like, "Nobody talks like that." He was like, he was kind of ripping into Lucas. He's like, "Nobody in high school talks like that." And I'm like, maybe some people do. Like, I was trying to defend it, and it was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. You're right. Maybe some people don't talk like that. I don't know. But, but, yeah. So then we go to Whitey in his office, and this is where we meet yet another character of many that we meet Keith Scott, who is Lucas's uncle and Dan's brother. I guess Lucas and Nathan's uncle, and he's Dan's brother. And the first thing that Keith offers Whitey is some alcohol from his like little flask.
I'm just like, is this what the teachers and all the coaches and all that were doing when we were in school?
I mean, fuck, if I had to deal with those brat children, I would have to take a load off too.
I'm like, sitting here just thinking about everything in high school now. Like, what were you guys doing?
And I mean, kids in my high school were pretty disrespectful sometimes. I can't imagine what the kids are like in this day and age. Like, I could not be a teacher. Like, if I was ever going to be a teacher, it would be like probably kindergarten to maybe third grade. Yeah. I would never do high school. I might do college, but
never do middle school.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
They're scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're almost scarier than high school children.
I know. If someone's like, "Are you really scared of a 12-year-old?" Yes, I am.
Yeah, they're murdering little shits. Yeah.
Like, it's funny how with this scene, who like it's someone related to them right away, because it's funny in TV shows where people are always like Keith Scott, Dan Scott, Lucas Scott, and then in real life, I have never just been like, I'll just use
someone's last name.
Yeah, I'm just like, I've never just been like, this person I know, I'm going to call you by your There are some people that I have to call by their last names, but they're not people that I'm like actually close with. It's more so there was someone in high school that I would always use their last name with somebody, and I always had to say their last name. But like, other than just like an exception of a couple people, I've never done that. So I thought it was funny.
It is kind of funny, like, but I get why they had to do it, because you're introducing like a lot of characters of which are related to one another. So it gets very, very confusing if you're not paying attention to the show. Like, this episode is it's a lot, because you get a lot of information in one episode, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. But it's a talent to be able to write like a 45-minute long episode and have so much like stuff to process in it,
Yeah. Pilots are tricky. It's like you have to give a whole setup without giving too much, but not leaving out so much either. And it's really hard to find that balance. But I really liked the introduction of Keith, because knowing that that's their uncle and knowing the stuff that's like, to come up, I think it's really nice that even though, what's his brother's name? Dan? Is that his name? Dan?
Nathan. Oh wait,
Oh,
no, Dan.
Keith's brother. Yeah.
Yeah, Keith's brother. Yeah.
I think even though he didn't like isn't wanting to be part of Lucas's life, I find it nice that there's at least like the uncle there who's willing to be there for kind of like both of them. So
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
then well, yeah. Well, and I also like the scene because Keith brings up that Lucas also plays basketball, and then Whitey's like, "Oh right, Dan's son," and then Keith like quickly corrects. He's like, "No, no, no, not Dan's son, Karen's son." He's
Aaron's
like,
son, yes.
"Yeah," and he's like, he's on the birth certificate, but he never, he never cared or was in Lucas's life at all. So
Yeah.
Karen's son.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and so then they go watch them to play on the river court. They go watch them play on the river court. Which what do you think about that? Do you think it's weird? Because I've seen some people say that seems really weird, like two older men watching like basically children playing on a basketball court, like spying on them essentially. And I'm like, I never saw that scene that way. I mean, I guess like I can see why some people interpret that as weird, but like I always just saw it as they're like just kind of seeing what Lucas can do, you know?
I didn't think about that until you brought it up. And I guess if I was thinking about it in terms of real life of two grown men watching children on the court, then maybe yes. But just watching the show, I think there's context to it. I think it's not just two men going and watching to be weird. It's an uncle trying to help out a nephew. And I guess I could see where it can come off as weird, but I think with the context to it, it's not, but maybe that's because it's a TV show. I don't know.
Yeah, like Whitey's like, yeah, get a load of number 3. Get a load of that guy.
There was oh goodness, I had it in my notes, but I can't. Let's see, was it in this same scene where Whitey said that he encouraged Dan to go off to college?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with the scholarship and everything. And then Keith brings up like, well, you did Karen a favor. And he's like, now I need you to do me one. So it's basically like he's asking Whitey to recruit Lucas on the team because he thinks Lucas can play. He thinks he's talented. So he's like, please do me this favor and invite Lucas to be on the team, basically. So
okay, because I know I had a mention of it for a later scene, but I think I forgot to write it down for that one, so that's why I was asking for.
Yeah, no, that is the exact scene. So, so then we cut back to Peyton, and we get a real interesting taste on how her and Nathan interact with each other because she's in her room, and he walks in, and she's like, "I waited for you." And he's like, sorry, I was hanging out with the guys, basically. And he's like, well, first he comes in and she's listening to the music that she's listening to. And she's like, what are you wasting and she's doing like artwork. So we find out that Peyton's also an artist. Because she's doing like cut and paste type stuff on her computer. And he's like, oh, what are you wasting your time with now? And then quickly proceeds to tell her that her music is trash because he's like, nobody listens to this shit, this stuff. Like, I'm like, damn.
You know, like, screw you. Like, you're gonna be that one, like, all those people in high school who made fun of you for listening to quote unquote emo music, and then you get older and everyone's like, oh my god, I've always loved them, and you're like, really? Because I remember you making fun of people for that. But okay, go off.
Exactly. Yeah.
This scene really made me mad, and I think it was supposed to, but. Like, I'm gonna be honest in saying Peyton isn't my favorite character in the show right now. I don't particularly like her right now. Like, sometimes it takes you a minute to like someone. I feel like I'll probably end up liking her, but at this moment, I don't particularly like her, but I do sympathize with her.
Yeah.
Because when, she obviously wants to just hang out with Nathan, and it's just like, oh no, like, you're gonna hang out with me and the guys. And which, not to say that's like necessarily a bad thing, but when it's all the time, it's like, I remember being in like, when I was younger, like not high school, but like early 20s, being in those kind of relationships where it was like, if you weren't hanging out with their friends, then you weren't even really worth hanging out with.
Right.
And, yeah. And then he's just, what did he say? Like, cause she didn't really want to hang out with the guys. Right. And he's just like, I don't have other options. I'm just like, girl.
Yeah. Well, because he's like, you know what, Peyton, I came here to see you. And it's like, okay, but she also waited for you for like 2 hours after the game and you never showed up. So, And then she proceeds to say, she's like, I just invited you to come hang out. And she's like, yeah, with me and with you and half the team. And then he goes, you know what, Peyton, if you want to be a bitch, just stay at home, listen to your loser rock, and I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, how would I don't see you tomorrow? And he's like, I don't have other options. It's
Yeah, I
like,
was just, I'm like, I know the point is to not like Nathan in episode 1, but
yeah.
man, do I not like that guy.
I mean, and I will give credit to James Lafferty. Like, he plays a dick really well. Like,
He
he's very
does.
good. Like, and it's very grounded, very realistic. Like I said, I knew people like this in high school that acted this way. And like,
Yeah,
so like to see it portrayed on screen, it's very, like, I think he does a really, really good job.
he does.
Um, but I love how, like, he immediately, like, he's like, I'm sorry. I'm just, I just wanted to spend some time with the guys on the team because they're suspended and I don't want them to feel like blah, blah, blah. And so
Mhm.
he's just making excuses, like any abusive person does.
Yeah.
And then Peyton immediately forgives him. She's like, oh, it's okay. Like, you just called me a bitch and called me that, basically said that my music sucks and my art sucks, but yeah, I'll forgive you. And it's like, girl, come
Yeah.
on. How about
It's
a little
sad.
more pushback before you
Yeah.
forgive him? Like, she just immediately is like, okay, it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not saying all high school girls or, like, girls, like, very young women are like that, but unfortunately, it's like a lot of times all it takes is a little bit of, like, just a little bit of kindness after being incredibly cruel for you to forgive them.
Right, right. And most of it is not even an apology. He's just making
No.
excuses for his
Yeah.
behavior. And it's like, that's not even an apology. You're just, but whatever. Like,
You take it as an apology at that time, like,
he,
before you really know better. Yeah.
exactly. Um, so this next scene, we cut to Lucas, Peyton, and Nathan, and apparently Regan, who was the original Haley, she's in the library too, uh, are in the library. And I love this kind of like comedic moment where Whitey's like, Scott, and both Nathan and Lucas look up at the same time, and he's like basically like to Nathan, he's like, not you, and he's like, come
Yeah.
here. And then he basically tells Nathan to read a book or something. He's like, read a book or something.
I'm just like, "Did you just call him stupid?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love how Peyton kind of looks up at Lucas and gives him like this like smirk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very confused by her character in episode 1.
Yeah. Like she wants to act like she's not like other girls, but then she is basically in an abusive relationship. I'm not saying that's like all girls are in an abusive relationship, but I feel like if you're gonna pride yourself in being like, I'm not like other girls, then I feel like she'd be the kind of girl that would get out of that relationship immediately and wouldn't stick around and be treated the way she's treated. So it's like, what are you, Peyton? Are you a pick me girl, or are you,
Yeah,
I don't know.
unfortunately, I think especially with the time that it was filmed too, like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of, romances, and put those in quotation marks, are portrayed in a way that, if someone's mean to you, as long as they have a rough past, it's fine.
Yeah. If they cheat
Yeah.
on you, just forgive them.
Yeah.
If they hit you around and knock you around, just, stick around because it'll get better, I promise. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It's like it's very
girl.
realistic though. It's like in your head it's very easy to rationalize when it's someone else, but then when it's you, it's a lot harder.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
definitely
unfortunate when someone's in, like, obviously just based on the first episode, he just seems very mentally, like, abusive. But
unstable.
it's yeah. And it's really unfortunate to see, like, someone who's supposed to be a teenage girl in something, like, so not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like we're dogging on Peyton a lot in this first episode, but I do want to say, like, we do, as Kayla just stated, we do kind of see both sides of it. Like, because I've also been in abusive relationships, but I've always been the person to kind of leave. But as far as like friendships go that have been abusive friendships, like, when I get attached to people, it's very hard for me to let that person go, regardless of how they treat me. And sometimes, like, I've gotten better with age, like I don't tolerate that at all anymore. But when we're young, we're kind of, we feel like these friendships and relationships that we have are our whole world. And if they leave, then our whole world is just going to fall apart,
Yeah. I
very
feel the
dramatic,
same way.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, but you know, like when you get to a certain age, you realize that these like friendships and relationships that you had were not good for you, and that you're like, why did I stay so long? You know what I mean? So it's like a part of me can actually sympathize with Peyton in a sense and be like,
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of understand why she, you know, keeps Nathan around, because you know she might feel like her whole world, you know, whatever, is going to fall apart. um so yeah, we are
Yeah.
shitting on Peyton quite a bit in this episode, but we
It's
also
more the I'm not like other girls energy than the
yeah,
situation that she's in. The situation that
exactly.
she's in, I feel like I've been in those situations many times in life, and it's why, like I said, it's like really hard. I mean, it's not that's any less sad if it's someone who's older, but especially
Yeah,
seeing someone who's supposed to be a teenage girl and allow someone to kind of talk to her that way. It's just like, dang, I
yeah.
really wish you wouldn't do that, but I get it.
I will say though, she does have a little spunk and spark in her, because she doesn't just sit there and take it. Like she actually like shoots these like daggers back at Nathan, where she's like, "How about I don't see you tomorrow?" And like she does stand up for herself to a certain extent, which I can appreciate about her character as well, is that she doesn't
Yeah.
just sit there and like take everything that he says and is like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like she's very, you know, she's very you can tell she's very strong-willed just by the way she kind of like retorts things back to Nathan. So it's not like she's just like a scared little puppy that's like too afraid to say anything. So I do appreciate that about her character for sure.
Yeah, definitely so far, episode 1, I don't particularly like her. She kind of annoys me a little bit in
Yeah.
episode 1, but I definitely sympathize with her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah. So then we get this scene of Nathan and White, or sorry, Lucas and Whitey in the gym, and he basically offers him a spot on the team, and he's like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And basically, Lucas says that the people who pray here are wasting their time. God doesn't watch sports.
Yeah,
That's that iconic line that he says.
yeah.
And then I love the way that this scene is lit, because they go into the gym and you get like this beautiful like pool of light like seeping in from like the windows outside, and it just looks, I think it's funny how he says that line, but then he almost looks very angel like when he's walking out of the stadium, or out of the gym, with all the lighting like around him, and he almost looks like an angel in a sense.
Yeah, and I think that the way that, like, the lighting you're describing as well, like, for someone like me who doesn't really care about sports, like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
me
just a
either.
gym, but, like, with the way that the lighting is and everything, I think it kind of captures to the people because, obviously I have interests that other people, to them, it's just this, and to me, it's like everything. So I'm not trying to
Yeah,
like belittle it, but like to someone like me, it's just a gym. Like, but then to somebody who, loves to like play basketball or any other like sport that goes on in, a high school gymnasium, it's like it's a lot more than that. You know, it's almost like this sacred kind of space.
yeah.
And I like that's why I really like you bringing up the lighting. I appreciated it because I think it does give kind of an idea to people who might not understand sports in a way that other people feel very passionate about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I just like I notice like I like the little details. Whether that's purposeful or not, I'm going to assume it's purposeful just because of the way it was lit and stuff. As like juxtaposed with that line that he just said right before he walks out of the gym, it seems very purposeful, and it
Mhm.
feels like it's supposed to be there to kind of, you know, evoke like that feeling, you know what I mean, of what we just talked about. So I do really like, I like the devil's in the details kind of thing about it. I like that they kind of really take their time to, you know, bring certain things to the show that I feel like some people, they don't focus on the small details, so you miss a
Mhm.
lot of context, you miss a lot of, you know, emotion, like evoking like feelings inside. They sometimes people miss a lot of that, and so I appreciate that about the show a lot too. So
Yeah, and just based on episode 1, I'm going to assume that his mother didn't have the easiest time raising a child on her own, and I
yeah,
think that that was the line, "God doesn't watch sports," was also kind of a nice kind of thing because I know, not trying to offend anybody here, but I've seen, like, a lot of people be like, "Oh my gosh, did you see that? Yes, God did that," and it's something like, "Oh, I won $2 on a $1 lottery ticket," or
yeah,
like, yeah, we got like, an extra point on the game. And it's just like, okay, like to me, it was kind of like, I see this kid, and I could be completely wrong, but I see this kid who probably has seen his mom struggle. And it's just kind of like, why would God care about this when there are other things going on?
Right. No, that's exactly how I see it as well. Like, and it almost feels like he kind of has I wouldn't say like a disdain towards God, but it does kind of feel like he, in a sense, feels like he got dealt the shitty end of the stick, where it's like he
Yeah.
feels like, if God really was here, why is he letting all this horrible stuff happen to me and my mom? Like, so
Yeah, like, why would he care about a game more than, like, somebody's, like,
right.
livelihood, basically? That's the way I took it, and it could be me, like, looking way too far into it, but that's kind of
I mean,
what
I
I
wouldn't
thought.
say so because that's exactly what I interpreted it as well. So I
Okay.
think we're on the same page. So, um, but yeah, no, I really like that scene. And then we get to that scene that you referenced a little bit earlier in the episode. You talked about Lucas and Skills talking on the
Mhm.
river court, and Lucas basically brings up the point. He's like, don't you think that we belong here?" Because he's very hesitant about joining the team. Like, you kind of get the sense that he's not interested at first. Like, he doesn't really want to. And he's like, has it ever occurred to you guys that maybe we belong here? And then Skills is like, we belong here. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
And, Lucas kind of takes offense to it, which, I mean, I can understand. I kind of, if I put myself in that situation, I'd be very defensive too. I'd be like, thanks a lot.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's a good friend, though. That's a good
mhm.
friend. I
Oh yeah.
really
Like,
I
oh, sorry.
appreciated his character. I was like, "You know what? That's a good friend. I hope you continue being a good friend throughout this series because I like you right now."
A good friend is someone who will tell you stuff that you don't want to hear.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
appreciate that, Skills is that kind of outlet as the character on this episode, is that he kind of just basically tells Nathan or tells Lucas what he doesn't want to hear, but he does it because he's his best friend. And he's like that. He basically says that he's like, I'm your best friend, but I feel like you know, we're playing to be your excuse, and
Yeah,
we're not gonna do that. Um,
which was nice.
Yeah, yeah. Like it wasn't rude. Well, I mean, I guess if you interpreted it from Lucas's point of view, it could sound rude, but I don't think he had any malice or ill intent with that comment. It's just like he's kind of speaking truth a little bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he sees his friend who's maybe afraid to do well or to do certain things because maybe he feels like, his mother wasn't able to do a lot of things. And
yeah,
that's the way, just like I said from episode 1, I'm interpreting it. Like, maybe he's not allowed to do all these things because his mom never got a chance to do a lot of other things. And that's
yeah.
the way I'm interpreting it, is he just has a lot of respect for his mom, but I could come back later and be completely proven wrong.
No, I mean, I think you're right on the money with that. So, but then we get that scene where Lucas gets home and he finds the package on his doorstep. And I really, really, really love Moira Kelly's acting in this scene, because just from one expression, you can see so much pain and so much, like, because she's walking by Lucas's room and he's got the jersey on and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and she kind of like stops and you see this face, like you can almost feel her heart dropping, basically, because she's basically looking at Dan.
Yeah, it's just the take
Um,
it off, like,
yeah, because he's like, somebody left it here, and she's like, take it off, and then she just walks away.
yeah.
Uh, Such a powerful scene, and it's only like 2 seconds. It's literally like there and gone, and it's really a scene that if you're not paying full attention, like, you can almost miss, you know.
Yeah,
But
but
there's so much to read into with just that small little scene.
yeah, and I like, even though that was the initial reaction, the scene following it, I feel kind of shows at least, who I'm hoping his mom is, which
Yeah,
is, kinda just being taken by surprise, and because it did remind her of something that was probably very painful, and but then ultimately, like, I know that she said a line that I don't know if you want me to save it because I have it as one of my memorable
so do
lines.
I.
Yeah. So, I I don't know if you wanted to talk about our favorite scenes now or if we wanted to do that later.
We can do that later, because I think we still have a few scenes to go through.
Okay.
Yeah, we
But
still
yeah,
got
just
quite a bit to unpack.
okay, like, but yeah, just the scene of seeing him and saying take it off versus what's coming up. I think it kind of gave a little bit of insight to who her character is, or who I'm hoping her character is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really fantastic and well done scene for sure. I really enjoyed it. It's, well, not to spoil anything, but it is one of my favorite scenes on the show, but we'll kind of delve into it a little bit more. But yeah, so then we get to uh and I love how this show is edited, because you get the immediate like jump cut from Karen and Lucas, and you see how well their relationship is, and it cuts immediately to Nathan and Dan, and Nathan is working out, like he's lifting weights, and his dad is standing behind him. And I almost interpreted that as like he is like that looming shadow that's constantly over Nathan no matter what he does.
Yeah,
Like,
you just can't get away from it.
right. And it's just the way he's standing right behind him. And I mean, some people could interpret that as, oh, he's just being a spot for Nathan. But the way that I saw it is that he's just this looming presence that's always constantly nitpicking and being like, always like, oh, your best is not good enough. Like, second place is the loser, or whatever that term is. It feels very purposeful the way they did that. And he's basically just giving Nathan crap the entire time. And he's like, he basically tells Nathan to move, and then he starts lifting weights, and it's like he's just trying to show off,
like trying to be like, look, this is what you should be.
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to my husband. He didn't watch the first episode with me, but I was like, I'd never understood, and I know that this goes for more than just sports, but I think it's very present in at least visual media, as far as television and film, where there's always like a father who didn't get to do what he wanted to do when it came to be it football, basketball, soccer, whatever, like any kind of sport. And it's like, instead of just nurturing that in their child, because I see that their child enjoys it and they want them what's best for them, it's like, no, I need to live through you. So I'm going to push you to the point that this isn't even fun for you, because this isn't even about you. It's about me. And I always found that very odd, like for parents to do, not just with sports, but with anything.
Oh, for sure. Like it's almost like he wants to relive his glory days, but live vicariously through Nathan.
Like you never left high school.
Oh, yeah. We can definitely tell Dan never left high school with the way he literally acts like someone who seems they're better than everybody. Like that's just, and you know, it's like, this is exactly how he probably acted in high school too, which is like, why did Karen put up with that? But then, you know, you also have to ask the question of like, why is Dan a dick? You know?
Yeah. Like, so, why is he unable to move on?
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I like that. I like the way that is inserted in there. We get that really lovely exchange with Lucas and his mom, and then we get the kind of not so great exchange with Nathan and his dad, which really shows, you know, it kind of harkens back to the opening scene where they're playing in like the crowded gym, and Lucas is playing on the river court by himself with just a few friends. It really shows like, you may seem like you have everything. You may seem like you have thousands of people cheering you on, but you might be super lonely inside, and you might not have that support. And then it's kind of like the grass is always greener on the other side, or is it, kind of a thing, because it's like, we kind of start to see that maybe Nathan's life isn't as great as it's made out to be at the start of the episode. And we kind of start to see that, you know, Lucas may not have everything in his life at his fingertips, but he has a very supporting mother. He has very supporting friends, like, and we don't see that a lot with Nathan. So I think that's a really fun, or not fun. It's a very interesting way of portraying that, I think.
Yeah. I think it also shows you see it over and over again, and we tell each other this all the time, but we never listen to it, is you don't exactly know what someone's life is. Like, it's very easy to get mad when you think someone is more well off than you are, but then it's like, okay, well, why should I care that they're unhappy and crying when they have money? But then it's also like, well, you know, why should I care about you when you at least have like somebody who cares about you? And I think it shows that humans kind of need a little bit, like, they need to know that they're supported in multiple areas, and that they're kind of secure, even if not like, you know, completely rich or anything, like at least, or like they don't have like what's to say, like, it's not to say you have to have like the best friend relationship with your parent or anything, but just like there are multiple things that make up a good life, and just having certain areas of particular things don't exactly make you full. And I think that that's, you know, a lot of times what shows are trying to show us, and I think that's what they're doing here.
Yeah, and I think it's done very, very well. Like it's very subtle. Like it doesn't feel like it's completely thrown in your face. It's kind of up for you to kind of interpret, which is kind of what we've been doing, is
Yeah.
like just seeing the scenes like for what they're meant to be. Which is nice. I like that. I like that it's not like in your face. We got to show you all this, stuff. And it kind of leaves it up to you to kind of interpret certain things. And I really like the subtlety of that. But then we get like that cut to Lucas on the river court, and he's like, you can tell he's been there for hours because it goes from like day to night.
Yeah.
And then Tim and Nathan basically go. Tim is Nathan's best friend. He's another kind of side character in this first episode. He shows up to the river court with Nathan, and basically Nathan challenges Lucas to a one-on-one.
Yeah. Sorry. Can we backtrack real quick?
Yeah, no,
It was
sure.
the thing that I was wanting to. I was like, don't forget to ask him, and then
Yeah,
I forgot. Unless this is explained later on, and if that's the case, then I guess just tell me. I'll have to wait to find out. I'm very confused because in the scene with Nathan and Dan, Dan is like, "This is more to do with Whitey and me than you," and also the thing where it's like the fact that we share a last name is only wishful thinking on his mother's part, and I'm like, okay, but like you guys didn't get married, but that doesn't mean he's not your son. And then also like, so I'm a little confused because at one point, I don't remember if it was this scene or another one, he talked about how he was young when Karen got pregnant with Lucas. But at the same time, I'm like, but aren't Nathan and Lucas like the same age?
So that is something that will be answered later.
Okay.
As far as like the age difference between, and it's not much of an age difference. It is a little bit of an age difference, but I don't want to spoil or go into things too soon. But your questions will be answered in the future.
I didn't know if that was like one of those weird TV things where they say something and then like they didn't think about it, and then you're left with these questions. And then also this is more to do with Whitey and me than you. And I know this will probably be answered later, but I'm wondering, I was like, does that have something to do with like the fact that Whitey told him to go off to college, or does it have something more to do with like maybe why he's so set on living out his dreams through his son? So that one I know can be answered later, but I guess it was more so the confusion with the age and like, wait a minute, they're both in high school. I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, the whole thing with Whitey and Dan is explained in episode 2, I believe.
Okay.
I think he has a conversation with Nathan about why he thinks Whitey's out to get him. So I won't say anything. I'll let you watch it, and then like I said, I think all of your questions will be answered. But I'm glad that you brought those questions up, because I know some people do have questions like that. But I love that that's kind of with this show. They don't reveal everything right away. It's very like with layers. Like they make certain remarks or comments, and you wonder, you're like, oh, is this going to be brought up later? Like, so it's intriguing because it's like it is like slowly unraveling all these mysteries about things that you're wondering about, which I love. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I figured the Whitey thing would be explained later, but I was like, wait a minute, Lucas and Nathan are both in high school. I'm a little okay.
Yeah, no, it'll be explained, I promise.
Okay.
But yeah, so then Tim and Nathan get to the river court, and Nathan is just basically just such an asshole, because he's like, you think you can do that being double teamed in a gym full of people telling you suck? How about just 2 people who are telling you suck? Like, it's just, damn.
He's like, why are you so mean?
I know. And then Lucas is like, what do you want? And then he's like, what do you want, man? Other than my girlfriend and my spot on the lineup like,
it's just like, was there, I don't recall there being anything before this that would make him think that he wants his girlfriend, but maybe it was the look in the library. I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, obviously I think Lucas does want her, but like, I was a little confused, but
yeah,
I was hoping Lucas, when Nathan tells him like anytime, any place, I was hoping he'd be like, okay, now.
Yeah, let's do it now.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, because he basically is like, name the time and the place, and we'll battle it out. And he's like, if I win, you crawl back into your little hole and you remember your place and all of this. And he's like, if I win, or if you win, I'll quit the team, basically,
Yeah.
which is very risky and ballsy thing to bet on, Nathan.
Very, very cocky.
Yeah, very, very cocky. So after that scene, we get the scene with Haley and Lucas, which is I think like their very first like full interaction scene that we get with them actually like interacting as best friends. Cause we do get the scene with him and her in the cafe, but like Karen is also there. So we don't get to see like their full dynamic as a friendship. But they're walking and all of a sudden like these pigeons just fly up and Haley's like, what is the deal? Like, I got attacked by a flock of crows the other day. And Lucas is like, it's called a murder. And she's like, what? He's like, it's called a murder of crows. And she's like, see, that's why people think you're weird. And then she's like, well, what are our flock of ravens? And he's called an unkindness, which is, kind of our name of the podcast. So we're just kind of like linking things. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I was waiting for that. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, are you going to bring up ravens, dude? You going to bring them up? And then she said, I was like, okay, there we go. There we go.
There we go. Kind of endorsing our podcast. It's,
Yeah.
Cool.
What are you going to
do? Yeah. So then we get like this iconic scene with Peyton. Her car is broken down on the side of like of a lake or a pond or whatever you want to call it. And so Keith and Lucas, and then it cuts to Keith and Lucas they're in the body shop. And I love this scene a lot because Lucas is kind of like basically trying to, explain to Keith why he doesn't feel the importance of joining the team and like, why does it matter so much if you're playing, basically if you're playing for nobody. And Keith tells a story about the time him and his dad went to a basketball game and just how mesmerized they were by watching this guy play. And then he looked up at his dad and he was crying. And he basically tells Lucas that he has a gift and it's a damn shame to not let people see it. So,
yeah, it was a nice scene.
I think really it was nice scene.
Really nice to see the dynamic between him and his uncle, because we already saw it between him and his mother, and we know that he's not getting that from his father. So it's nice to see that there's at least somebody, like some like guy in his life who's able to do that, because a lot of people who grow up with single mothers don't necessarily have like a positive like male role model in their life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I thought that was really nice. I'm glad that the uncle character exists.
Yeah, and I really like because I feel like these scenes are just kind of tying into previous comments that we made on this episode. You were talking about earlier how like you're not into sports, but like we can both understand how like to some people like sports is everything, and this scene kind of encapsulates that. Like it basically says, this is what it's like to have something you love, like being so passionate about it that you're literally crying in a crowded stadium with 46,000 people. This means so much to you. And I really like that he brings that up a lot.
Yeah. I think that it's very important, because I don't think I think sometimes when it's really hard for me because, even though I'm not passionate about sports, I'm passionate about other things. And I've heard other people say that I've known people who are like, I've never had anything that I was like that passionate about. I have things that I like, but I've never had anything that I was like passionate about. And to me, that's a very bizarre thing.
And very sad world you live in.
Like sometimes I think it might be easier. Like you might actually be happier because you're not constantly wanting something that might be super hard to get, that you might never achieve. But at the same time, I don't understand it. So I thought that was a nice scene. I think a lot of people can relate to it.
No, I definitely agree with that. So then they get like a phone call, and it's Peyton calling the shop. And so Lucas has to go down to like tow Peyton's car. And we have talked a lot of mad shit on Peyton this episode. I know you don't like her, but there's something that I really like about her in the scene. Like she's kind of bitchy at first. Like she's very standoffish. because he's basically trying to like have a conversation with her, and he sees like she has like a sticker on her binder or her notebook or whatever, and he's like, no effects, and he's like, it's me inside, and she's like, yeah, I know the song. Like, she's just so rude. And then so she calls Nathan and tells him to come pick her up, and then she's like, we'll leave the gym, and then she's like, well, I sorry for you, or whatever she says. So,
I can't imagine someone just not wanting to leave the gym. Just like,
I know,
go back to the gym.
I know.
Like, after you pick me up, what are you doing?
Well, it also, it also tells a lot about Nathan's character, that he doesn't give a fuck. So he's like, I'm not going to come pick you up.
Yeah.
But I also like how he's like, Lucas asks Peyton, he's like, can I ask you something? And she's like, it's a free country. And he's like, how are you a cheerleader? Because you're honestly the least cheery person I know.
That made me laugh. I was like, you know what? Yeah, actually.
Yeah. And then in this same scene where he's helping Peyton, like he's towing her car, I could not help but notice, and Chad Michael Murray does that a lot in this show. He does like the hunched shoulders where he puts his hands in his pockets with his thumbs sticking out. And I literally wrote in my notes, I said, not the Hillary Duff pose, not the fucking Hillary Duff pose. All he needs is some belt loops to freaking put his thumbs through. Cause that Hillary Duff used to make that pose in a lot of movies, that she said she'd do like the hunched shoulders and the, I'm going to put my thumbs in my.
Is this why they were casting A Cinderella Story together?
Maybe, I don't know. But
that's I'm so shy and coy pose.
Yeah, it just looks really awkward on him. I don't know why. It just he looks really weird. So that was just something I could not get out of my head when I was watching this scene.
That's funny.
Yeah. But so then we get the scene of Dan showing up at the body shop, and he's basically rubbing it in Keith's face about his dealership. He's like, yeah, we're good at the dealership. I sent you some help a while ago. And Keith is like, yeah, I meant to say thank you for that. And he's like, well, we're all busy, right? Like, he's just so fucking condescending.
Like, dude, I don't know if I'd want to talk to my siblings if they were like that.
I wouldn't either. I'd be like, well, and I love how, Keith is kind of just very sarcastic and very snarky right back. Like, he's just like, yeah, I meant to call you about that, but like, he's like, so, and then it cuts back to Peyton and Lucas again, and she's still sitting there waiting for Nathan to pick her up. And he basically gives her a ride. And then she delivers the iconic line, which is kind of what I wanted to get into with, there's so many different layers to Peyton. She's not just like a stuck up bitch, like, because she's like, first of all, you don't know me. Second of all, you don't know me. And I think that's also kind of a line to Lucas, but also to us as like audience members who are watching the show, to
calling me out.
Basically, well, you said it. Like, kind of like calling people out that just kind of see her as face value and like not for. And I love that. I love how she kind of almost breaks the fourth wall in a sense. Like, she's telling it to Lucas, but it almost feels like us as audience members who are watching her. It's almost like she's basically like, and you don't know me, like, well, she might as well have just turned to the camera and said that. First of all, you don't know me.
Have a little Deadpool moment.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I don't like her in episode 1. I don't know that I'll like her for a few episodes. She kind of gives off that vibe of that character that you're not going to like at first. And then it might take a few episodes, and then you're like, actually, you're okay.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten there yet. But I get that vibe that she's probably going to be that character.
Yeah. Well, and I really like that line a lot, because it just really kind of puts things into perspective that we really don't know this character all that well. We've just kind of seen how she acts and interacts with people in this first episode. So there's definitely more layers to uncover with her character. And I really like that. But then we kind of get this nice little moment with him and Peyton where they talk about like him and Nathan sharing the same father, and she's like, yeah, I heard about that. And then she's like, he's kind of an ass.
Yeah. I was like, I thought that was nice. I feel like that was kind of a, you know what, you're kind of better off not knowing him.
Yeah. Well, and then I really like this bit of like backstory and exposition, because you find out a lot more about Nathan and Lucas in the scene, because he talks about how he used to play in the junior leagues with Nathan. And then he's like, have you ever had anything that you're so good at that you think you're better at than anybody else? And then Peyton's like sex.
I'm just like, wow, we're very straightforward, aren't we?
But then she's like joking. And so then he explains how he like quit the team and how he made an excuse to his mom about how he didn't want to see his face again. But it was really because he didn't want his mom to have to, because he
Which is
didn't want
very
his mom
sweet.
to. Yeah, it's so nice. Like, it's such a tender moment, you know?
Yeah.
And I really like this moment between him and Peyton, because this is the first time you really get like a really kind of intimate conversation almost with him and Peyton, because Peyton basically says, why would you tell me all that? We don't even know each other. And he's like, that's kind of the point, right?
It's like sometimes it is easier to tell people things when you don't really know them.
Exactly. Yeah. But then we get the scene of Lucas awkwardly walking in on Dan, how he's like, I tried to convince Karen to have an abortion. And it's
you're
like,
just like, oh no. Oh no, that's not what you want to hear as the child.
Yeah.
Like,
but I also have to say, this is a serious scene, but the way that Chad Michael Murray makes the choice of the way he throws the keys is just so comical to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my friend, when he was watching it with me, he's like, why the fuck did he throw him like that? Like, he threw him so, because he kind of goes, like, I don't know. It's really weird.
Notice.
It's very weird how he throws the keys. And then he just runs out of the garage because, you know, why would you want to stay after you heard that, you know?
Yeah, like, you know, that's a conversation that is, you know, you're allowed to have, obviously. Like, you know, choices need to be made in those situations, but it's not the kind of thing you want the child to hear.
Right. It's like, maybe keep those thoughts to yourself, sir.
Yeah, maybe don't do it in a public location, you know, do it in a spot where that kid who works there with him isn't going to walk in.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah. But then we get this very short scene coming up where it's like we get that iconic shot from the opening of the show going forward of Lucas dribbling the basketball across the bridge, which is kind of what was kind of what I was inspired by with our logo. When I did it, I kind of wanted it to have the bridge and, you know, kind of like the sun with like a flock of, or I guess an unkindness of ravens flying over the bridge kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was very inspired from this shot in general. But then we kind of get like inserts of like Peyton, like at the same time. And she's like, I think that's supposed to kind of interpret the fact that she's really thinking about their conversation from that day and she can't get it out of her head.
Yeah.
How did you interpret that?
I don't quite remember how I interpreted it, because for some reason I wrote down, because the thing, I think I was just so stuck on like, oh my gosh, that poor child walked into hearing that.
Yeah.
So I think I was kind of just stuck on that, because my notes go from that to kind of Lucas going to Nathan and telling him when and where. And so I don't think I really noticed Peyton in that moment, because I just felt bad for the kid. I was just like, oh, that poor kid. Oh, you should never hear that.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's not. Yeah. It's really like, you really feel bad for Lucas in this episode, because
like,
he's
look,
going.
I support decisions, but just maybe not the kid hearing them.
Maybe not that one. Yeah.
Like, I would have supported Karen's decision either way, but maybe don't say it in public or the kid can hear you, is all I'm saying. Like, the kid's already here. They don't need to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you mentioned that he goes to the gym and tells Nathan to meet him at the river court at midnight. But if he wins, he wants something else. And then we're kind of kept at, we're like, ooh, what does he want?
Yeah, this is like showing my age right here too, because I'm like, man, if someone came to me and was like, meet me here at midnight, I'd be like midnight? Like, you want me to meet you at midnight? Like, you mean we're not leaving and like we're done at midnight? It's like, you want me to actually go there and be there at midnight?
Yeah.
Teenagers.
Okay.
Wild.
Well, that's another thing that I kind of and I'm not nitpicking the show for this. It's just kind of something I found a little unrealistic, because I'm like, at that age, I was allowed a curfew of 8 p.m. I was never allowed out of the house after 8 p.m. Like, how are these kids just going about their business at freaking midnight? All these kids are showing up at this river court, you know, Peyton and Lucas and even Haley and Nathan, they're all showing up and it's like midnight. And it's like, Are you out on a school night? I don't know.
See, I actually was walking around that late as a teenager, but me as an adult though, I'm like, oh my god, midnight.
Oh,
But no,
I go on walks at like 3 a.m. sometimes. So
I don't think I've done that in a long time. Like I used to be a night owl because I'm not a morning person, and now I'm just a everything sucks person, I guess. I got in the habit of having to wake up early, and now my life is just ruined. Um, but no, as a teenager, definitely, I remember doing that. But watching it as an adult, I'm just like, oh my god, midnight. Someone asked
yeah.
me to come out at 8 p.m., and I'm gonna be like, are you crazy?
Yeah. So, but yeah. And then we get that scene. I really like the scene where you see Karen interact with Dan for the first time in the episode, and she is waiting. Well, I love how he comes into the dealership and he's like, "I love that car. My wife has that car."
She's like, I'm sure your wife has every single car, no matter what
Yeah,
car the person's looking at.
exactly. And so he goes into the office and Karen's sitting there waiting for him, and she basically tells him to.
Feisty.
I love Karen though. I love that she stands up for her son. I love that because
Yes.
she's a mama bear for sure.
Mhm.
Like she does not take shit from anybody. And so like she's basically chewing his ass out for, trying to, well, she's like, I love how you're so involved now.
Yeah, because she said something about how they've never asked anything from him, and she's just like, and you've delivered in fine fashion. I'm just like, oh,
And I will expect it. I will expect the same. If Lucas joins the team, you will do nothing.
yep.
Otherwise, you'll see the less cordial side of me that you see now.
I was just like, get it, please rip him to shreds.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
loved it.
Oh, me too. And so he's like, I just don't want to humiliate or he's like, I don't know why you'd want to humiliate him. And she's like, you're right, Dan. I don't want to humiliate him. You've done that enough already.
Yep.
And
I'm
then
just like, oh.
such a good scene. I love it. I love it.
I was wondering if I was going to see them interact in the first episode, so I was happy that I did.
Mm-hmm. It's a very fun interaction too.
Yeah.
I love seeing people like drama unfold on screen. It's intoxicating to me. I love it. But then we get that scene of Nathan coming out of the shower and he's wearing that fucking nipple ring. Like,
and then, and Dan's just like, if I wanted a daughter, I would have adopted one. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I've actually known more men with nipple rings than women.
exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I find it funny that I've seen more men in my life with a nipple ring than I've seen women, honestly.
Yeah. I think I've known one, maybe two women to have nipple rings, and I've seen like countless men with nipple rings. Not that we were like, not people I was like friends with, but just like in general. Like, of course, maybe I wouldn't know that because women don't typically walk around with their shirts off. But like,
right.
Like, just the knowledge that I have from people I've interacted with, I've known more men with it. So I was just like, that's
funny.
Odd.
That's the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think? But yeah, he basically tries to convince Nathan not to go through with this because he's like, you have nothing to gain and a lot to lose. And basically Nathan is standing up to his dad right here where he's like, I do a lot of stuff for you, but this is my decision. I'm going through with it. He's like, I don't care what you say.
And I kind of thought it was strange because Nathan's kind of like the star of the team, and yet his dad's just like seems scared. So it's like, does his dad know that Lucas is really good? Or my thoughts watching it anyways, because I thought it was very strange because if you're so convinced that your son is like, well, I guess maybe Nathan might be more convinced than his dad is, but because Nathan's obviously the star. So I guess I was just like, why is he so concerned if Nathan is like the best?
Right. Right. I think he's more concerned about losing that, like, feeling of, living vicariously through his son. If his son stops playing basketball, he's like, well, what am I going to do with my life now other than bully and antagonize every single person in town? Cause that's who I am. Cause I'm a piece of shit. Yeah. Yeah. But I also love the comedic timing of the scene too, because you see Nathan walk away and then like 2 seconds later, Peyton comes out of the bathroom too with a towel wrapped around her. And he's like, hi, Mr. Scott.
I'm just like, my mama would have never.
No. Definitely not.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
TV parents
Um,
are wild.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we get this nice scene. We get this nice scene coming up where Keith and Karen are kind of sorting through books at the cafe, and Lucas comes in, and that's a very short, brief scene. I don't think they really talk about a whole lot, Keith
Mhm.
and Karen, but you kind of get that they're really comfortable with each other. They've known each other for years. Um, you get the sense that obviously Keith has been basically a surrogate father for Lucas all these years. So you can tell that he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like, their
Um,
relationship seems a lot better than the one between Keith and Dan.
right. And then we get this scene of Lucas and Haley on the roof of the cafe, and I have to say, I would kill to have like a cool hangout spot like how they do because they have
I
lights hanging up.
know.
They've got like their own like mini golf course set up. It's so cool. Like I'm like that would have been
It
dope to
is.
have in high school.
It really would've, yeah.
But I
I
think this
want it.
seems really important as well because like he asks Haley if she thinks he's being selfish for wanting to play, and she's like, "Do you think you're being selfish?" And he's like, "Well, kind of." He's like, because if I wasn't, wanting to join the team, my mom wouldn't be downstairs right now worrying now, would she? Um, and then Haley's like, I don't say this a lot because it sounds weird, but she's like, you're a great guy. And she's like, you and your mom worry too damn much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a nice little I think you can I don't know, at least from what I've seen, it almost seems like they're not too serious with each other.
Yeah.
So, when there is a little moment, it's kind of like, I still need to throw in, like, a little joke.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to have a little bit of comedy in here.
Yeah. Can't get too emotional here.
Exactly. So then we get like a montage of kind of everybody getting ready for the game on the river court. And she's asking Nathan. So Peyton and Lucas, or Peyton, I'm sorry, Peyton and Nathan. There are so many characters. I get Lucas and Nathan. Peyton and Nathan are walking out of Nathan's house, and she's asking, you know, what Lucas gets if he wins, and Nathan basically says, "You."
Yeah, that made me so mad. I was like, are you serious?" I was like, is this going back to the 2000s, like, I was a bet thing? And
Oh
I was
God.
just like, I was like, "No, not betting your girlfriend."
Yeah, and not treating your girlfriend like she's a fucking trophy to be passed around to
Yeah.
whoever you want her. It's like really,
Oh my
it's really
god.
gross.
I was like,
Um,
ugh, slap him. Not that I condone violence or anything, but
yeah. So then that's where we get that iconic line from Mouth McFadden and Jimmy Edwards, who are two other people that we forgot to mention in this episode. They're in the very
Oh,
beginning as well when they're playing
yeah.
the River Court. Um,
Minkus
Minkus
from Boy
from
Meets
Boy
World.
Meets World. Yep.
Yeah.
So we get that iconic line of him saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another historic night in basketball." The very because I wanted to use that as our opening tagline
Mhm.
for this first episode. I thought it'd be fun to kind of reference that. And then we get we get Nathan showing up in that piece of shit car, but it's got like the cool neon on the bottom. And it's playing that song. It's like, I'm an outlaw. Dinner. It's like so weird. Very early 2000s. Like,
I found
so
this
funny.
very strange, and maybe it's because I'm not very, extroverted. I'm a very, like, to myself kind of person a lot of times, but
Yeah.
I found it so strange that and I don't know that people are necessarily cheering for Nathan so much as they're excited that, a showdown is about to happen, but I'm just like, do people really, like, cheer like this for, like, a high school, like, basketball player for, like, something that's not even, like, a real game? How
Yeah.
but then again, I didn't know that house parties, like, huge house parties actually existed until I was, like, in my 20s and people used to talk about them, and I was like, "Oh, I thought that was just, like, a TV thing." So, I don't know, maybe I'm just, like, out of the loop.
Yeah, no, I completely get you with that. Like I'm very extroverted, and I was also pretty extroverted in high school, but I never went to like any parties because I just wasn't into that. Like I wasn't into drinking, I wasn't into like smoking pot or any of that stuff.
Mhm.
Both of which I've done later in my years. Recreational, of course, every so often. but I was never really interested in any of that in high school, and I would never have been allowed to go to a house. Like my parents are very, very lenient, but back in like when I was in high school, they were very strict for some reason. Like they were very well, and I also grew up like Mormon, so when I was at like
Okay.
my early years, like high school, middle school, my parents were very devoutly Mormon. And so I was not allowed to go to parties. I was not allowed to do any of that stuff. Um, so like I never went to parties really either. So
Yeah. I was just like very introverted, shy, also on my moral high horse and very annoying. So
yeah.
I don't know how I had friends, but so yeah, I was just sitting here like, do people really cheer like that? Like with something like this were to happen? I don't recall. But maybe it did happen and I just don't remember. But
yeah. yeah. Um, so then we get, Nathan shows up with his friends, with his, snobby looking friends, and him and Lucas start the game, and about halfway through the game, basically Nathan cheap shots Lucas. He like elbows him
oh
in the
yeah,
face.
what a dick move.
And I love how like you get like the reactions of everybody. Like you get the reaction of Skills where he's like, I'm about to beat this motherfucker up. Like,
Like it didn't look like anyone was like, yo, that was okay. It looked
yeah,
like
and even
most people were just
Peyton,
like, ooh.
I mean, even Peyton is like horrified by this. She's like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
so and then Lucas is like, it still the shot counts. Like he's basically like the shot still counts. Like he doesn't call a
Mhm.
foul. And so I love how Nathan goes to shoot the winning shot and Lucas blocks it. Like he jumps up and blocks the ball, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you get that line from Mouth where he's like, people are going to be naming their children after that block.
Yeah. He definitely would have had a YouTube channel had this been set today.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Oh, 3-pointers with Lucas Scott. Oh, you're talking about, sorry, you're talking
yeah,
about Mouth.
Mouth. Yeah, he would have had his own channel. He would have been vlogging. He would have been commentating.
Yep, yep,
Like, I could see it now.
yep. Um, but so then Lucas goes for his winning shot, and Nathan basically taunts him by saying, he never thought about you once, or he never thought of you, not once after all these years. And then Lucas says, this is for my mom.
Yeah, it was
And
just
then
so mean though.
I
Like,
know.
just like I don't know. I don't know. I guess kids who don't grow up with a single parent, I guess, just don't understand how bad that is to say.
Yeah, yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
it's horrible. But then Lucas makes the winning shot and wins the game. And I wanted to ask you, did you think that Lucas was going to win, or did you think that he was going to lose?
I thought he was going to win
Okay.
because I was like, well, there has to be like, because I think I did remember seeing him like when my friend watched it like on the actual team. So one, I was like, well, there's no way he doesn't win or at least end up on the team in some way. So I'm just going to assume that he wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I like that he wins. I do, because it kind of, shows like the David versus Goliath in a sense, if you want to use that, I guess, metaphor. But it's almost like what's the word? The underdog
Mhm.
basically, owns the, he basically, makes Nathan look like an idiot. So, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice because you're like, Nathan's an asshole. I don't feel sorry for
Yeah,
him at
like you're
all.
like, I don't care if you get your feelings hurt. Like you can get your feelings hurt all day. I don't care about you.
Exactly. And then and I thought it was weird how Lucas all of a sudden has like a whole bunch of people just surrounding him. I'm like, where did you come from?
Yeah, it's like, what happened? And oh, also like I felt like Nathan looked a little mad when he saw that Lucas was actually good.
Oh yeah, you can see it in his face. Like James Lafferty like does really good with his facial expressions in the scene,
Mhm.
because like you see so many emotions like flash through him. Like you see disbelief, you see disappointment in himself, and then you get like the way he's like seeing he's like, you almost can like hear what he's thinking in his head in a sense, just by what he's evoking with his expressions. And
Yeah.
like he's like, damn, this guy might actually be good. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
I was the look on Peyton's face though, I don't know if it was left at, he gets you and we just didn't see it on screen. It was like, no, obviously he doesn't get you. But like just the look on her face made me feel like they didn't have that conversation, because it was just kind of like, what? Like, I'm being
Yeah.
treated like I can be tossed around, and then now this guy won.
Yeah. Well, she almost looks like she's like, well, if it is me, I guess it's my lucky night. Like, she
It was
almost
like,
seems like she's like ready to like be given to Lucas, essentially. Like, that's kind of what I got from it. I'm like, she seems like well, and you kind of get that sense that you can tell that she kind of has some sort
a
of
little crush.
connection or crush or feelings towards him as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like the interaction that they have, because she asks him what he actually did bet, and he's like, Nathan stays on the team. And Peyton's like, why would you do that? And he's like, because it's the last thing he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the shot of Nathan where he's like, Peyton. He's like, are you coming?
It's just like, I thought you just bet me. What do you
Yeah,
want me to
yeah.
do?
And then I love this line, the last line that Lucas says to Peyton, where he's like, I'll be seeing you. So nice.
Just like,
Yeah. What are you alluding at, sir?
Yeah. Okay, actually, no, I think aside from quotes and stuff that we're saving for the end, I think that was it.
Oh, okay. So then we get to the last scene of the show, and they usually do this on most episodes of One Tree Hill, where they kind of do like a montage of the characters that we've seen throughout the show. We see them like doing certain things. So we get to Nathan coming home after the game, and his dad is sitting in the living room, and he basically is like, don't worry, Dad, your dream is safe. Your dream is still safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the scene of Lucas watching Peyton on the webcam, and it's just so weird.
It's just so weird.
He's literally sitting there like staring into the webcam, like,
I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, I thought that like she was kind of a troubled teen and doing some illegal things she wasn't supposed to be doing, and then it's just like, let me stare to the void. And I'm like, I'm glad you're not doing things that are gonna get people, thrown into prison or yourself, but like, what are you doing?
what exactly are you doing, Peyton?
I don't understand. Like,
it's very weird.
I thought that I was an emotional teenager, but I guess I didn't hit that level of moody to stare into a webcam for people to watch me.
Yeah, it's very strange. And then we get the last scene of Lucas showing up at the gym for practice, and you see all the reactions of everybody as he walks in. You see the reaction of Peyton, you see the reaction of Whitey, the reaction of Nathan. And I will say, like, this is just, a fun little side note. I think Peyton looks so pretty in this scene. Like, her hair is pulled back. She's not wearing a whole shit ton of makeup. I just think she looks really pretty. That was just a side note that I wanted to say. It means nothing.
I just really, really like her hair.
Oh, me too. Her hair is everything, honestly.
It's really great.
And then while this like montage is kind of going on, we get this quote from Lucas, which is the one that his mom told him, but he finishes it. So he says, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leaves on to fortune, but omitted, and the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose the ventures before us.
It's a nice way to end.
Yeah, it is. I like it. So yeah, that's the end of episode 1, guys.
Wow.
I mean, I would say a solid first episode for a series, especially when you have so much information to cram into such a small amount of time. I think they did a really phenomenal job. So what are your thoughts?
I think that they did do a very good job with getting all the information in there. My biggest thing of why it's rated a little lower than what yours is going to be is because I didn't quite connect with anybody, like, aside from Lucas. I felt something towards him and like his mom's relationship, but I didn't quite connect with the other characters in a way to where it's like, because for me, pilots are like a little messy and like sometimes awkward. And I think when I'm looking at it at a lens from 2024, looking back at like early 2000s, I think had I watched it in the early 2000s, I would have rated it higher. But for me, I rated it like, honestly, like a 6 out of 10. And that's only because that is only because I didn't really connect with anyone aside from Chad Michael Murray's character and his mom. Like,
Yeah.
but I have a feeling that's going to change. Like, it's obviously a very, very popular show, and I do love my teen dramas. So,
Yes. Yes. No, I mean, I think you're going to be surprised by my rating. So I actually rated it a 7 out of 10.
oh, see, I thought you were gonna go like an 8, 8.5.
I thought about it, but there are certain things. The Sophia Bush is not in this episode. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
what is that?
So that is kind of an issue for me. But I think I think mostly just because I do think the episode is very well done. I do think that the way they edit things, the way things are paced, I think it's very
Very
well
good.
paced. It's very well edited. But I kind of put myself in the perspective of, I guess, you or people that have never seen the show aside from like the first time. And I kind of tried to put my biases aside of what I think the show, I try to do that. I try to put my biases aside and kind of see the show as someone who's watching it for the first time. And I think if I'm trying to remember what my first reaction of the first episode was, I would have given it a 7 out of 10 if I had seen it for the first time,
Mhm.
like back at the time that I watched it. I think I would have given it a solid 7. And
Yeah,
I think the way that, we kind of get little tidbits of how these characters are, even with the end scene with Nathan saying that to his dad, like you kind of see a softness, you kind of see like, almost like a softer side of Nathan that you don't see at all during the rest of the episode. And it
yeah,
almost kind of it makes him a little more humanized, I think. So
yeah, which is nice. Like,
yeah,
nobody wants just, like, a straight up villain throughout the show.
right,
Okay, well,
right.
that's not true. If you're watching Game of Thrones, Joffrey, we wanted him to be a villain. But, like, on, like, more realistic things like this, we do like for people to not be one dimensional. So I think that's nice that they have little things in there to show you that there's more to them than what you're seeing.
Yeah,
But I think for me personally, it's probably like a time thing. Like,
yeah.
because what did you say? What's 2003?
2003. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard my dog. Um,
Nope.
like, I think had I watched this, even in the 2010s for the first time, I think my rating would have been higher. But looking at it
Yeah.
from like 2024, I think some things maybe are kind of affecting the way that I rated it just because of like my age now and the day that we're in now. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Definitely. Um, so I guess like with your rating being a 6 and mine being a 7, I guess we're gonna explain to the listeners we kind of are going to average our ratings out at the end of the episode.
Mhm.
So would you feel comfortable if we bump it up to a 6.5?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair assessment? Do you think that's a fair rating? Because
Yeah.
I think it's a fair rating. I think it's okay to put it as 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's a fair rating. And to be fair, I do, unless I'm like already a super fan of something, a lot of times I am very harsh with ratings.
Yeah.
So I think I explained this to you before the podcast. So sometimes I might sound like I don't like something when in reality, like I said, if I'm rating a book and I'm like, yeah, that was really good, 3 stars, loved it. It's like, then why'd you only rate it 3 stars? I'm like, because it didn't change my life. What are you talking about?
It didn't make me cry, scream, throw up at the same time. So it didn't work for me. Sorry.
Yeah, my rating system is all over the place. One day I might be like, yeah, like it didn't change my life, but I loved it. So like 9, 9
Yeah.
out of 10.
9 out of
Like,
10. Yeah.
so I'm not
I mean,
very consistent.
I mean, and that's perfectly fine. I will say like I think it's great that you're very like up and down because it's going to make it very interesting to have a discussion at the end of the episodes. Um, but at least you have more to say than just someone who's like, yeah, it was good. I'll give it a
Yeah.
7. Like you're not just like, it was good. I didn't like it, but why didn't you like it? I just didn't
Yeah.
like it. So I appreciate that you like have a reasoning for why you rate it the way you do. So I appreciate that. And I like I'm okay. I'm satisfied with it being at a 6.5 is like the rating for like a first time episode because
Mhm.
I believe on IMDb it's an 8 out of 10 if I'm
Yeah.
remembering correctly.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Um so there are a lot of things with the first episode that aren't perfect, but I think all the things that we touched on, I think they did very, very well. I think they did a really good job with this first episode.
For its
And so,
target demographic too, like
yeah, because it has like because you can see it, you know. And I think, like I said earlier, I think the reason why I was so hesitant to watch the show is I saw it as like a very, I guess, face value kind of just show about a bunch of teenagers and whatever. But it really has a lot of, even in the first episode, it has a lot of really deep resonating like themes, and a
yeah.
lot of very almost like adult type of themes, like things that these kids should not have to be going through at like their age. But it is very mature in certain aspects, but it stays very true to the high school experience as well as to kids, how kids act in high school.
Yeah, like,
um
I think people underestimate how much kids feel and how serious those feelings are as well.
yeah.
And not just because you're a kid. I think, if you're in, say, Lucas's situation and your dad isn't present in your life and you see him wandering around, I think that you're not just going to be kind of affected as a child. I feel like even as an adult, you would be affected by that.
Exactly. I agree.
But
So with all that being said, I mean, I think 6.5 is a great rating.
mhm.
But any of the listeners that disagree with our rating, like, feel free to, comment on our social medias if you how you would rate this first episode, like how you would rate it, what your ratings would be, kind of stuff like that. Just, it'd be fun to like interact with you guys because we want to
Yeah,
know your thoughts. And
and especially the difference between people who are just now watching it for the first time, like me, or like super fans like Michael.
yeah,
Like the difference between people who already know the show versus people who are just now watching it.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Good point. But with all that being said, with the ratings aside, we are going to get into our memorable quotes section. So,
mm.
Kayla, would you like to start us off with your first memorable quote?
Yes. I think we already mentioned it. It was "What Makes It Less of a Game If People Don't See It" by Lucas.
Yes.
And that was very memorable because even though he's talking about a game, I think anyone who's passionate about something can get kind of wrapped up in, well, people need to see what I'm doing. If I don't, like, if people aren't seeing it, what does it, like, then I'm not going to be remembered for this. Like, you
Right.
know, being someone who is like an unpublished writer, like I do sometimes get really caught up in, well, people need to see my stuff. If people aren't seeing it, like, this is what I want to be doing. It's what I'm passionate about. And I think that was a little nice reminder for anyone who's passionate about like anything,
Yeah.
that it doesn't make it less than just because a lot of people aren't seeing it. So I thought that was why that was up there for me.
No, I
I
actually have that quote as well. So,
Yeah, do you
I-
wanna do, like, a back and forth, or do you
yeah, I
wanna
was thinking we could do like a back and forth
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
I didn't wanna, like, continue on if
Oh no, you're good. Um, but I mean, mine's a little less inspirational than yours because I just find it really funny. And I'm gonna put on my best Whitey Durham impression as well when he's like, "It comes with old age, Danny. Constipation."
That's a
I
good
just
one.
Thank you. I just love that line. I think it's so funny.
It was
Um,
very funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
because Dan basically says he's full of crap, and then that was Coach Whitey's response to that, and I just think it's hilarious. So had
And
to share
witty.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like,
What's
I
your
wish
next
I was
one,
that
Kayla?
sharp.
I know.
My next one was another one that we mentioned, and it was Lucas when he asked why Peyton was a cheerleader. And he's like, "Because you're about the least cheery person I know."
Yeah.
And one is, I'm a I give a lot of crap to Peyton, but maybe it's because I relate, because I'm a very negative person. So maybe it hits a little too close to home. Maybe I just see some of myself
You
because
feel
I'm very
personally attacked.
I feel personally attacked. Um, and I also thought it was funny because it wasn't going in the direction I thought it was going in, because, like, it was set in the early 2000s. So I thought it was going to be, "Why are you a cheerleader? You're better than that. You shouldn't be a like, basically like degrading other, like, I thought it was going to go in a degrading, like, other types of
Yeah.
girls. And instead it was like, you're a little, like, what was it? You're about the least cheery person I know." So not only was it funny, but I also appreciated that didn't go the direction I thought it was going to.
Love that. Yeah. I don't have that line down, but I do have a line from that exact same scene. And it was a line that I brought up earlier where she says, "First of all, you don't know me. Second of all, you don't know me." And I kind of explained why I like that line so much in the previous discussion of it in the earlier in the episode, but I just like how it's kind of, telling Nathan, or it's telling Lucas, but also the audience, that we don't truly know her. So stay tuned to see what, layers we're gonna uncover about Peyton's character, because she does come off as very bitchy in the first episode, like very bitchy, very standoffish. So, but I also like the fact that she kind of spills that line in there to kind of, give herself a little more credit, I think. So I like that a lot. I think that quote really resonates. So, but what's your next quote?
Well, I am going to say I do like that you went into telling the audience that she's telling not just like Lucas, but the audience, because I didn't like think about that when I watched it. I thought she was just being moody, like, you don't know me. But then when you said that, I'm like, oh man, I was getting called out and didn't even know it. So
yeah.
So thank you for that.
No problem.
The other one, I think I have 2 more. Yeah, so I have, sometimes I feel like you're sitting out of life. Oh my gosh, I wrote this down really weird. I did not spell properly at all. Sometimes I feel like you're sitting out of life on account of me, and I don't want that for you. My past is not your future, or something like that. I wrote something atrocious down, and I skipped words, and I don't know what the heck I was doing.
No, I think you said it pretty much word for word. I think you missed like 1 or 2 words there, but I'm not going to nitpick.
I missed more than 2 words in writing it down. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh man, no. I have that exact same quote, so I won't get into that quote but I love that quote because, well, tell us why you love it, because it was you said it first. So.
I think that it's weird because I have multiple parts of my personality. I'm very negative, and I feel like Peyton's, at least in episode 1, very negative. But I'm also very can come off as very hyper and like Haley. So it's just like, but then I also, with Lucas, it's like, I feel like sometimes when you feel bad about something and you feel like, almost like you feel like you could be doing better, but you don't want to, because you're like, well, if this person didn't get to do this, why should I be able to? And I like that I kind of like that, because I think it's a very relatable feeling for a lot of people who want to feel like they're not getting too far ahead of somebody else, or being able to experience things that other people aren't able to experience. And so they operate on guilt, even if that person isn't making them guilty or making them feel guilty. And I like that his mom was just kind of like, you don't need to sit out on things just because of me. And also, I do have a little bit of a prediction for this as well, but I'm going to save that. But also about my past not being your future, or whatever it was that I didn't write down properly. I think that a lot of children, especially children who, feel close to their parents, or even, I guess not especially children, because I think all children can feel this way, even if they're not close to their parents. I feel like you do kind of look at where you are in life and your position in life, and think about your parents, and you kind of compare it. And if you have, like, say, a bad relationship with your parent, you could be like, oh my gosh, I don't want that to be my future. But if it's a good relationship with your parent, it's like, okay, like, I also don't want to make their mistakes, even though I'm very close to them. And I think I'm going very long-winded into this, just to say, I think it was really nice that his mom is basically like, don't miss out on life because you feel guilty that I didn't get to do certain things. And also, like, just because something happened to me doesn't mean it's going to happen to you, and you don't need to feel bad about that.
No, I love that. I love that you explained it. I don't even care that you over explained it. I love it. I think it's great. That line is probably I think that's probably my favorite quote of the whole episode, honestly, because it's just like, I really like that quote says so much in such a short, kind of bit of dialogue, but it really gives you a lot to think about, as far as, what she's saying and like what those words mean.
And also gives you a good insight of at least what you think her character is going to be and what you think Lucas's character is.
Yeah, exactly. So I have one more quote on here that I wanted to share, and it's one of the very last lines of the episode. It's when Nathan tells his dad, when he says, "Don't worry, your dreams are still safe." I really like that quote a lot because it kind of, as I said at the end of the plot synopsis or the plot summary that we were talking about, you kind of see almost a softer side of Nathan, and you kind of see like the pain in his eyes, because I think Nathan also realizes that his dad wants to relive the glory days, and he's kind of almost forcing Nathan into the situation where it's like, basketball is life or death. It's everything, and if you're not doing basketball, then what are you doing with your life? And I feel like in this scene you can kind of see that Nathan also sees basketball as like really integral. Did I say that word right? Integral.
I think so. I get tongue tied during that word. So
do I. I'm going to say integral to his, to his life to a sense. But I think Nathan also feels like it's not life or death like his dad seems to make it out to be. And I just really like how he says your dreams are safe, as if he's acknowledging that his dad is trying to live vicariously through him. And I don't know. I just like that. It resonates with me for some reason. And obviously we get that, end quote from Lucas, kind of summarizing, there is a tide in the affairs of men. So I do like that he, quotes that at the end of the episode. So
yeah, that is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. But you said you had one more, right?
Yes. And that is the one that I was very hesitant to put on here.
Okay.
For those who can't see us, I don't know if you know who this YouTuber is, but it's very obvious from this shirt, if you know who she is, that I do not have a relationship really with religion. So the God doesn't watch sports, and that was one of my favorites, just because regardless if you do or don't believe in something, like I do feel like people put a lot of stock into like, yeah, this is going to happen because, God made this happen, when it's something like I said, as trivial as I got $2 back on my lottery ticket instead of $1. And instead of just like being like, okay, but there are way more important things going on in the world. So like, why would he be paying attention to this? And you can totally cut that part from the episode, because I don't know that I really want to make people mad, but it hit for me on reasons that might not be appropriate for the podcast. I don't know.
No, I like that. I like that you've added that in there. So.
Oh no.
For those of you who are not watching the video version of this, so we have a neighborhood cat that likes to come visit us, and they've allowed us to let him in our house, so we just kind of let him in our house. And he was sleeping downstairs. He's been downstairs sleeping for like 2 hours. He just came upstairs and was trying to hop in my lap, and he knocked the headphones off my head. So
orange cat behavior.
Yep. But I'm sorry, Kayla, not to detract from what you just said, but no, I completely agree. So I'm glad you added that quote in there. So.
I'm sorry.
We got a little distracted. Sorry, guys.
So yeah, so you want to move on to favorite characters or favorite scenes?
Let's do favorite characters first. Kayla, do you want to do the honors?
Right now it is Lucas, and then, oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name? Lucas's friend, the one who said,
Skills.
Yes, thank you. So far, those are my two favorite characters.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? Do you want to do this as in you're looking back on the lens of from when you only knew episode 1, or knowing what you know now?
Okay. I think that's what I'm gonna do, just to kind of because like I don't want to come off as biased, I guess, because I've seen the show a bazillion times, so I know what happens to certain characters, and I don't want to kind of like base my likeness of them based off of episodes and seasons to come. So I think to keep it like a little more I guess, unbiased, I will do it as if I'm watching it for the first time, similar to like what I did with my ratings.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say for my favorite characters of this episode, I really obviously really like Lucas. I like that he, is kind of an underdog. He comes from like unfortunate circumstances, but at the end of the episode, he kind of rises above it all. I really like that. I really like Haley. I just like her energy. Like, I just like her spunky attitude and the way like she kind of has the same the way she talks about certain things. It kind of reminds me of myself because like I said earlier, I have ADHD brain, so sometimes I'll just go on and on and on and on, and I don't know when to shut up, and I don't know when to like shut my mouth and stop saying shit that I, you know what I mean. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, but yeah, I also really like Keith in this episode. And Karen, I think, and
Karen. Yes,
and
Karen.
Whitey.
Oh,
Karen,
sorry.
yeah. I think let's just name off every person in the episode. I'm just kidding. But I think the characters that resonated with me the most this episode were Haley, Lucas, Keith, and Karen. I really like those 4 characters in this first episode because they have a lot to say. They have a lot of really good moments with each other, because you get really good moments with Keith and Lucas. You get really good moments with Haley and Lucas. You get really good moments with Lucas and Karen. Like, just so many like memorable moments from the first episode, and those characters are kind of integral to that part.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
definitely
That's fair.
those characters for sure, I think, are my favorites. What are your favorite scenes or scene or scenes? Like, what are your favorites?
Oh, by the way, I am so sorry. I don't remember if you said you're putting this whole thing, like, or just little snippets of the video. But I've been playing with a hair tie the entire time,
That's
so
completely fine.
I know that can be very annoying for people to
No,
look at.
that's completely fine because I do weird things like that too, where it's not weird, but I do things like that too. Like the whole time I've been kind of rubbing my leg, like going up and down like my knee with this hand. I don't know if you've noticed that my hand's been moving
No,
a lot,
I
or
didn't.
I've been kicking my legs because
Oh,
I have to move sometimes. And
I didn't
that's
notice that. I'm a blinker
oh.
though. I blink a lot. I noticed
Well, now
that
that you're
in
saying that, I'm
videos.
going to start blinking a lot too. I'm going to be like,
And it's like nonstop. It's like I'm telling you, like 3 blinks in 5 seconds, and it's annoying.
I didn't even notice. So
I'm aware. I apologize. My favorite scene. I wrote down favorite scene because I didn't know if we were doing scenes or scenes, so I wrote down my favorite just singular scene,
that's fine.
and that was the one with Lucas and Karen when they were outside talking after she told him to take off the jersey, but
Yeah.
and aside from like the quote of like I feel like you're sitting out in life, my past is not your future kind of thing. I thought that it showed a lot of tenderness and showed a lot about Lucas as well because she was talking about. I thought it was I don't know, I thought it was very touching of how she was talking about when he found out that there was, spoiler for kids, if there are kids who enjoy Christmas and
Yes.
stuff about Santa Claus coming up. So
Yeah.
I
She
don't know.
said something along the lines of like, "Do you remember what you said to me?"
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't
she
know
was
if I
like,
want to say it. If I don't know if young
"Oh,
children who probably
right.
watch this aren't going to be young children
I
probably
don't
aren't going to be
know.
watching this,
I
right?
don't know. Maybe we should just. I think people that have watched it know
Okay,
something
well,
about
it was
Santa
something
Claus, but
about Santa Claus, and she said that he said he was going to feel really bad for the kids because of like,
like if they find out because there won't be any presents on Christmas morning or something.
yeah, and I thought that showed a sweetness in Lucas that we haven't exactly, like, it's not like, obviously we can tell he's like nice, but it's like we haven't exactly experienced the full on like sweetness of that, and I thought it told a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to like
No, you're
get
good.
around saying something so that, but I don't
Yeah.
know that young children would be listening. But at the same time, I was like, do I want to say that?
Right. For hopefully
I
just to
walk
be
in on their
safe, we
parents.
won't. Yeah, just to be safe, we won't. If someone is listening to it in their car with their children in the back seat, maybe
Yeah.
we never know. But it's good that that you're conscious of that was like a thought that went through your head. I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with that because I was just gonna spoil the whole thing right before you were like, yeah, maybe, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But so that's your only scene.
That was, I wrote down my favorite because I didn't know if we were
Okay.
doing like favorites or favorite. And
No,
so I
that's
just
fine.
wrote down one. I know that there was I really liked the scene where, like I said, the one between Lucas and his friend that I'm gonna get his name one day. Oh my god. Um
Skills.
yeah, the one between them that I keep referencing, that one was another one.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I like that
obviously the
one.
one for An Unkindness of Ravens, because I just found out that what a group of ravens was called like last year. And so I was just like, I feel smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
So what
you know,
about
it also kind of references our podcast too. So, you know,
yeah, so hmm.
I'm sure One Tree Hill didn't know it at the time, but they were going to inspire us to do a podcast 20 years later. So thank you.
Thank you.
I
What
have,
about you?
well, I have a couple of scenes on here. So
Mhm.
I have the car breakdown scene where you get that scene with Peyton and Lucas kind of, you know, and I've talked about in nauseum about why I like that scene so much is because you kind of get more of like a softer side of, you know, you get a softer side of Peyton, even though she's still kind of rough and kind of tough on the in the exterior. She kind of gives you a little bit of a different side of herself in that scene that we haven't seen. I also like the cafe scene when you first get introduced to Karen and Haley because
Mhm.
I like just the interaction between them, and I like that his mom gives him that book. Um, and also, I guess with the cafe scene, I really like the rooftop scene as well with him and Haley, where he's asking her if she thinks he's being selfish. That's a nice moment with them. And then obviously the her dog in the background.
I don't know if
What
that was heard.
it was, I could hear it, but it's
Okay.
fine. We'll leave it in the episode. It's fine. It adds charm, you know. It adds charm. Um, and I have the same scene that you did. That you did, dude. That you did. I was gonna say do, but then I said did, so it sounded like dude. Um, I have the same scene that you do, where Lucas is talking to his mom. I just really love that scene a lot. I think it um, really resonates. And then just to add another scene, I didn't have the scene in, but I'm thinking about other moments. I really like the small interaction that Lucas and Keith have in the garage where he tells that story about his dad and him going to that basketball game. Really
Yeah,
like that scene.
yeah,
Um,
that was nice. That was a good one too.
yeah, but I mean, I guess that's about it with favorite scenes. So, with that being said, I think we're about to wrap this episode up. I think unless you have any more final thoughts you want to share, Kayla, before we go.
Oh, were we doing predictions?
Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot about that.
I'm
First,
gonna try not to be as long-winded in the next episode. I'm sorry.
stop it. You were great. You were fantastic. You said exactly all the stuff I was hoping you would say. So, like, because like it would be kind of sad if like you kind of were on this show and you didn't say anything, because I
Yeah,
even
yeah,
told you beforehand. I was like, I do not want you to feel like I'm like steamrolling over you. I want you to feel like you are an equal part of this project, and that you feel like you have input, that you feel like you can talk about things. So you did fantastic, Kayla. So thank you.
yay.
But we're gonna do a section called, I guess, predictions by Kayla. If that's
Yes.
okay, if you name it that, I don't know. I just got a thought about that because I'm like, it would be fun to have you kind of predict, since you've never seen the show, like you're going to predict like what's going to happen, what you think is going to happen in the next episode, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So take
We'll
it away,
call it that
Kayla.
for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so since I do know that a certain character comes in episode 2,
Yes.
I am going to predict that Lucas meets said character and likes this person, and one of two things is going to happen. Either Peyton and Nathan are going to break up and she's going to get really jealous that there's this girl, or he's going to meet this girl, like her, and then Nathan and Peyton are going to break up and he's going to be like, "Oh no, who do I choose?"
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
prediction.
That's a fun prediction.
And then I have one, but that's like a way future prediction. I don't know if you want to
No, you can share it. Go ahead.
the whole "my past is not your future" thing.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a long shot because I want to believe that he's going to do well, but I'm also like, but is he going to end up having a child in high school, and is it going to be the same situation? Because I know sometimes that happens in real life too. So
I guess you'll find out. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say
Yeah,
anything.
so we'll see how wrong I am.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see if any of those predictions that you brought up come true. Not gonna
Yeah.
let you know, so you're just gonna have to be tortured and you're gonna have to wait. So
It's okay. I almost watched episode 2, and then I was like, "No, I'm gonna force myself to not get ahead so that I can react
so
properly for the
basic
first time here."
so basically you're watching the show as we just discussed it at the start where we're like, I would have hated to have to wait every week to watch a new episode. It's kind of what you position you're in right
Only
now.
I'm doing it worse because, like,
It's every 2 weeks and not
it's
every
every 2
week.
weeks, so look, I'm just nostalgia, okay?
Yeah. Here's the thing, Kayla. If you want to watch the episode every week for like the first time just to watch it through, because we did talk about at the start of the episode before we started recording, we did talk about how like you and I both watched the episode once just to watch it, and then we watched it again just to take notes. If you wanted to do that, I give you full permission, girl. You can watch it
Okay.
you can watch it every week, and then by the second week you can watch it again and take notes.
I
So
mean, I could just write down what my prediction is and just say what the prediction is and be like, "Hey, this was my prediction."
true. You could
So,
do that.
we'll see how long this lasts of me waiting.
Yes. I guess you brought up a really good point, but I guess that's also why I rated this episode so low. And it's just mostly because I knew that Sophia Bush was coming. The fact that she's not in this episode at all is a war crime, and it should everyone should be arrested. So
I'm excited for episode 2, knowing that she's in that one.
yeah. So with all of that being said, thank you for joining us on this episode, and thank you, Kayla, for being my other half for this project. I'm really happy you're here. I'm really excited, and I think this was a really, really fun, really great first episode. So
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very glad that you are able to do a lot of the introductions.
yeah,
Not there yet.
yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll get the hang of it. But with that being said, before we go, guys, if you would love to support us and check out our podcast, we do have a social media. We have Instagram for right now. I'm sure we're probably going to make a TikTok at some point too in the near future. But you can follow us at an Unkindness of Ravens pod. It is underscore in between each word. So that is how you'll find us on Instagram. And I also have a podcast, as I said at the start, another podcast called the We Love Horror Podcast, if you would like to check that out as well. Kayla, go ahead and shout out your social medias.
I have a YouTube channel called Stories by Kayla, and then an Instagram that is Kayla D as in dog. Right.
Nice. Yes. So please check Kayla out. She is insanely talented, and I love her to death, which also was another huge reason of why I wanted you to come onto the show, is because you just have so much to say, and like the way you write, I was just like, oh, she's going to be perfect for this. She's going to be perfect for it. So, yeah, thank you again, Kayla, for wanting to do this with me. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. There's so many episodes to go through, so many seasons. So I think it's going to be a blast. So
yes, I'm excited. I'm glad that you asked me.
of course. But yeah, with that being said, guys, we're going to get out of here. We got a basketball game to go to, right? We're going to watch the Tree Hill Ravens play. So
yeah.
Kayla's like, sure.
I'm like, yeah.
I just came up with that on the spot. So Kayla's like,
I'm just like, yep.
But anyway, yeah, we'll see you guys next time, and please stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.